B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach, shiur Torah, Baruch Hashem. Good to be back. We have this shiur, Baruch Hashem. And then we're on our way to Pesach. We have a 3-week trip to California, a little bit of family time, Zat Hashem, some shiurim. So this is actually the last shiur in Florida for a little while. And then Zat Hashem will come back after the holidays and the break. But everybody will still be able to see everything online, any shiur that we have, B'ezrat Hashem, like we did with New York, which was, Baruch Hashem, a very successful trip. We had 4 shiurs in just a few days. Each shiur got more and more koach, Baruch Hashem. Somebody's watching me somewhere else. Good. You're watching me while you're watching me live. So, Baruch Hashem, the New York trip was very successful. Thank you very much for everybody that sponsored the shiurim over there. Some people sponsored for Ilu Nishmat, Refuah Shlema, and otherwise. Baruch Hashem, it was very good, very good. A lot of people, and each shiur is actually, the crowd continued to grow until the snow started interrupting the last shiur, a little less than what I thought. But one of the shiurim, the first one was like at the end of the world in Long Island. And then the second shiur was in Queens. It was packed. There was no place to sit. Baruch Hashem, no place to sit. A lot of people. I mean, it's a small shul, but it's still maybe like 150 people. And the guy that organized the event, Baruch Hashem, did a lot of hard work to get people there. And it was a live crowd. It was a live crowd because aside from like the story and like some things that we said, some Mussar, people were asking questions, but questions that really were relevant. Questions in regards to Shabbat, questions in regards to the pe'anochrit, the wig issue, since apparently I'm the banner boy that talks about against the wig, one of the few in English in the world, so we talked about that a lot, and the shiur itself ended up being almost 3 hours. And then, which was a surprise, it was really supposed to be like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. It's not like you guys, you're used to me for 3 hours. Over there, hour and a half, 2 hours. Shiur ended up being almost 3 hours. And then after, usually there's the questions. Like you guys, you wait for the questions after the shiur. They have the same minhag over there. They have the same minhag. But there, Baruch Hashem, shiur was 3 hours, the questions were 4 hours. I was there till 4 o'clock in the morning. But, Baruch Hashem, by the time I left, the guy was the last, there was the last 5 guys standing. But it was really only about one guy. One guy left. For 3 hours he's asking questions. Back and forth, back and forth. At the end, he agreed to keep Shabbat. So it was worth 4 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't see anymore, but Baruch Hashem, at least I knew that somebody kept Shabbat at the end. So, for anyone that got involved, anyone that set up the shiur, anyone that sponsored, anyone that watched, anyone that sat there, anyone that got involved in any way, shape, or form has, Baruch Hashem, one of the many merits that were inherited in that shiur and many of the others. One of the other shiurs we did in Staten Island, I like doing the shiurs in Staten Island, Rav Zev's shul, because number one, just being next to him, you do tshuva. If you're a normal person, he's such a holy person. His keilah doesn't necessarily realize it as much, but he really is. Second thing is, I see that if I'm saying something wrong, I see him. And Baruch Hashem, when I see a Talmid Chacham, like somebody that knows the entire Gemara, not just the entire Chumash, entire Gemara by heart. When I see him saying like this the whole time, I'm like, okay, it's a good shiur, it's a good shiur. And he's saying like this the whole time, I'm saying, Baruch Hashem. And one of the guys, the day later, told my father, he said, Baruch Hashem, it's good, everything he said is good, but he really comes off strong. So my father, God bless him, he says, what do you want him to do? Lie to you and say everything's okay? Guys, he looked at him, he's like, yeah, you're right. So, Baruch Hashem, lots of good news from New York. Now we have some, we have this shiur, and then B'ezrat Hashem, we have the shiurim in California. Nothing is really set up yet, only a couple of shiurs set up so far, but B'ezrat Hashem will set up some more in the next few days. But the shiur tonight will be for Refuah Shlema, for David ben Nesriya, Doris bat Jora, Levana bat Sarah, Sarah bat Levana, Ovadia ben Levana, Elad ben Doris, Elisheva, Chaya bat Sarah, and all, Chana bat Miriam, Baruch ben Rivka, and Rivka bat Chana, And all of Am Yisrael, Be'ezrat Hashem, will have refuah shlema, refuat nefesh, refuat guf. So there's a lot to talk about, but we first have to start with your questions, your amazing questions. So, bechavod, ba'alat habayit. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shekonim dvaro.
Why is everything so significant with food? For example, the Beit HaMikdash, when they sinned, you did a korban offering. It's food.
Okay.
Passover, before the death of the firstborns, it was you take the lamb and you bring him in the house and you tease the Egyptians walking by, but it's still food. You roast it and you eat it.
Okay.
How is that everything has to be correlated with food?
A lot is connected to food. Okay, so there's a couple of ta'amim. Be'ezrat Hashem, I'll tell you. A couple of flavors in regards to it. So first and foremost, not all of the korbanot we eat. There's some of the korbanot we don't eat. Some of the korbanot only the kohanim eat. And that's why if you read some of the midrashim or the Gemara, you'll read that the kohanim were huge. Like huge people. Like for example, there's a Gemara that says that Rabbi Elazar ben Rabbi Shimon, which was the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, his son was giant, so big that him and another Chacham, there was another tzaddik, if they would put their bellies together against each other, they were so big that a bull can walk under them. Like big, I'm not talking about big like the obese like today, 600 pounds, can't move out of the bed. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about huge, like in comparison to us, giants. Giants. Now somebody came to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai when Rabbi Elazar was still young son, and he saw the kid eat. He's come visit, he's seen the kid eat. And he sees he's eating like enough for like 10 people, not like he's eating. He says to Rabbi Shimon, he's like, Kvod Harav, your son is a little bit, he's eating a little too much, no? It's too much, it's not good. It's not a mitzvah. He says, no, for him it's a mitzvah. Because why is it a mitzvah for him? Because watch after he finishes eating, and watch what he does. And this is what happened. He finished eating enough, half a cow pretty much, or maybe a whole cow. He finished, and he started studying. And he studied for a couple of days straight, without sleeping, without nothing. Meaning the entire power that he got from food, he used for Torah. So when you use the materialism of this world for Torah, it's mitzvah. When you use it for shtuyot, for nonsense, it's avera, or it's at best case scenario neutral. When all you're eating is just because of your desires, it's not a mitzvah. There's no mitzvah about it other than you saying bracha rishona, bracha achona, but other than that, there's no mitzvah. A lot of people like to cook nice food. You see on Facebook, people like to put their food all the time. They take pictures of their food. So, I don't know why, but for some reason other people maybe like it all the time. I don't know. So anyway, if you like food, there's no problem with liking food. But if the only reason you're eating food is because you like the taste of the food, and you like different flavors of food, there's no mitzvah. The mitzvah is, you did the first blessing, assuming you did the first blessing before you ate, and the second blessing, birkat hamazon, after you finish eating. Those are the only mitzvot associated with it. But if you ate even a little bit more than what you wanted, now you're going into the sin zone. Now if this was excessive, meaning you have, like a lot of people tell me they don't have any money. They work, they make $50,000, $100,000, $200,000, but they don't have any money somehow. And I ask, how is it possible? And then you tell them, well, what do you do every week? Oh, you go out to eat. You go out to eat, each meal is $100, $200, $300 for every meal. For one person, $100, $200, $300, no problem. If you have the money, spend it. The problem is if all that money is going to eat these fancy schmancy food, but you have no money to buy a Sefer Torah, you have no money to give tzedakah, you have no money to even be a member of the shul, then it's averah, then it's a sin what you're doing. You're not allowed to use your money like that. So that's the first thing. So if you're using materialism for the benefit of Torah, enjoy it. No problem having material. If you're using materialism just for your own desires, then it's Satan himself telling you, this is what the world's all about. You enjoying materialism. So some of the korbanot only the Kohanim ate. Some of the korbanot they shared with people. So this was one of the benefits. In essence, for doing a mitzvah that Hashem Yitbarach gave us, one of the benefits is to do something with it. The other thing is that Torah says it's the only book of law in the entire world that has such a stringent law in the Torah that's unlike any other religion, unlike Christianity, unlike Islam, unlike any other religion, that it says to such an extent that if you eat the wrong thing, you can go to Gehenom forever. Din karet. It's not just like, oh, it's not good, you get a smack on the hand. No, if there's something that you can possibly eat called chelev, if you eat chelev, it's din karet. It's one of the 36 sins in the Torah that's the equivalent of chilul Shabbat. Chilul Shabbat. Now, karet, you can look it up online, what it means. It means not just a physical disconnect, a physical cutoff. It means a spiritual cutoff, which, according to the Chachamim, is eternal, forever. Unless you do tshuva. So, on one end, we have very, very stringent laws. Now, the chelev is the fat part of the cow, and there's certain parts of the cow, like the back end of the cow, or the animal, that were used for korbanot. Chelev is only relevant to animals that were used for korbanot. So it's not relevant to birds. It's not relevant to many other animals. It's only relevant to like sheep or goats or cows that were used for korbanot. There are even other four-legged animals that it's not relevant to, like deer. You can eat the fat of deer. It's no problem. But if it's a cow, very big problem. But now it's not all fat. There's certain parts of the cow you have to eat the fat. It's part of it's literally next to the meat. So this is specifically pertaining to the one that's actually on the back end of the cow specifically is what people focus on. But even the front part, you're allowed to eat. You eat the front part of the cow because it's much easier to remove the fat. The people, it's called nikul. The people that actually kosher the cow after they slaughter it, unlike the goyim that pretty much eat anything that moves or doesn't move, Am Yisrael has a very specific mitzvah of koshering the animal, not just to kosher slaughter, but actually how to kosher the animal after it's dead. You have to salt it in order to remove all of the blood. You have to take off all of the fat. It's a process. The back end of the cow is very, very difficult to take off the fat. So most of the world, they just sell that meat to the goyim. We sell it to the Arabs. We sell it to the Christians. We sell it to the goyim, mostly to the Arabs, because they also slaughter animals, so they'll pay a little higher price. Whereas the Christians and the rest of the goyim just shoot their animals or electrocute them. So a very vicious way of killing the animals, but nonetheless, they won't pay a premium for a slaughtered animal. So the back end of the animal is actually very hard to remove the fat. So in most parts of the world, they don't even bother. You have to be a mumche. Mumche means like an expert of how to remove this fat, because you have to move the sciatic nerve. The sciatic nerve, most people that have like pain, it's usually because of sciatica. Okay, but sciatica is also the sciatic nerve in the cow. If you are not an expert, there's no way for you to remove that sciatic nerve. You eat even a tiny little bit of the sciatic nerve, it's din karet. It's like chilul Shabbat. It's like being with a nida. It's a big deal. The front part of the cow, on the other hand, is a little easier. And it's easier when most of them are able to remove it. So, second reason is that in Judaism, our food is significant. There's significant rules that pertain to our food. There's a specific holiness. And the reason why is because Hashem Yitbarach says, don't eat certain things, or else those things are going to make you tameh. V'nitmetem bam. They will impurify you. What does it mean, impurify you? Just so you know, the real you, like when you say, I went this, I did this, I, the real you is not the body. It's not the body. How do I know it's not the body? When you go to sleep, you have a dream. You think of a whole experience you have. You went to, Mars. You went to a different planet. You see what's happening on top of your roof. You go to different places. You see elephants on top of people. You see all types of strange things. You're seeing things. It's really you seeing it. But your body's staying here. Why? You went somewhere else. Same thing with people that have a out-of-body experience. Sometimes through meditation, sometimes through near-death experience, and so on. The real you went somewhere else. The real you goes somewhere else all the time. The real you, after 120, Be'ezrat Hashem, will go somewhere else. We'll go to Olam Haba. First to the Beit Din, they'll tell him, oh no, I went to Rabbi Yaron shiur, I did tshuva, okay, no, the Gan Eden. Real you goes to Gan Eden. Body gets its food for the maggots, for the worms, for nothing. That's why it's a waste of time to spend so much time feeding this body. All the desires, all the things. So Hashem Yitbarach says, V'nitmetem bam. Once you actually eat these things that are not allowed to you, those things are going to make you tameh. Make you tameh. So Chazal says there's another flavor out of it that we learn. V'netamtem bam. What is netamtem bam? Those impure things like eating worms, maggots, bugs, non-kosher animals, and so on, those things will make you spiritually stupid. What's spiritually stupid? Does that mean that you can't build a building? No, you can build 2 buildings. Does that mean you can't fly a plane? You can fly 2 planes. What does it mean, spiritually stupid? Spiritually stupid means you can go to shiur Torah for 20 years and not understand anything. Sometimes you have people go to shiur Torah, 20 years, still don't do tshuva. It's not only the darshan's fault all the time. It's not only the speaker's fault. If you go to shiur Torah and right after the shiur Torah you're having halal food, non-kosher food, it's not, you shouldn't have gone to the shiur Torah bichlal. Why? Everything you learned just went into the garbage. Why? You made everything that was pure impure. And the reason why is because everything that goes into your body turns to blood. It turns into you. So Hashem Yitbarach says in in Bereshit, Parashat Bereshit, that the blood is the soul. The your blood is the you. It's a big part of the you. When the blood leaves the body, there's no more you. So everything you eat turns into you. So the guy that made the statement, you are what you eat, actually wasn't wrong. He was right. You are what you eat. Everything you eat turns into blood. Steak, ice cream, candy, whatever you eat, all turns into blood. Whatever is not blood goes out the body. It turns into you. So now, if you eat something impure, it turns into impure. So if you eat an impure animal, it turns to impure blood. So the impure blood mixes up with the pure blood, you have a problem. You learn Torah for a week straight, you learn Torah for 2 years, you learn Torah for 10 years, one bite in a non-kosher burger in McDonald's, everything went to the garbage. Why? Now you have to purify your body all over again. You have a serious problem. This is why the real chachamim, the real people that are stringent in regards to learning Torah, not just learning Torah, not just the beards, not just the hats, the ones that are really serious about their learning, where they value what learning is, not just learn books and just for fun. The ones that are really serious and value their learning, they're also very stringent with their food. And usually they don't eat anywhere else other than their own house. And usually they don't eat slaughter of anyone they don't know. Meaning, they don't buy meat from just any kosher butcher. Why? He may be a kosher butcher, but where he got it from is not kosher. He may be a kosher butcher, but how do I know he's the one that slaughtered it? How do I know he did this? You have to know where it came from. And the reason why is because they know they could lose their Torah that way. And unfortunately, there's a lot of problems in the kosher meat industry today, both in Israel and the United States and pretty much everywhere. There's problems everywhere, and we have to rely on Hashem to really, that we're doing everything we can to get kosher meat, but just getting meat by itself that says kosher doesn't mean it's kosher anymore. You shouldn't assume it's kosher. This is the reason why most of the chachamim do not eat out at all. Like ever. They don't go out to restaurants at all. Why? Because in order to go eat at a restaurant, not only do you have to know who the butcher is, they got the meat from, you have to know who's the guy that's preparing the food. Is he Mechalel Shabbat? Is he a Jew? Is he a Gentile? Is he is he cleaning the food? It's a lot of problems with food. A lot of problems with food. And people that are makfidim on it, it's not because they don't understand what people are. It's because they do understand what people are. They do understand that people don't know all the intricate laws and what it actually means. So v'nitmetem bam means that you became impure because of it. So the other thing is that you have the issue of being impure because of our diet, because of our food. The third thing is that Hashem Yitbarach says that a real sign of happiness is done by food. It's our nature. It's our nature that Hashem Yitbarach, instilled in us as people, and anyone that wants to have pretty much a certificate of completion that they had oneg Shabbat or oneg Chag has to eat meat. It's oneg, the celebration, the pleasure that you get from Shabbat, the pleasure that you get from Chag, from Yom Tov, and so on. Part of it, according to the Torah, has to be symbolized by eating meat and wine. Someone that did not eat meat and wine, some opinions say he didn't get out of the chovah. He didn't really fulfill the whole mitzvah. Eating chicken is not meat, like I thought for most of my life. I thought meat and chicken is the same thing. Even though it's poultry, I thought it's the same thing. It's not the same thing. Actually, according to Chazal, chicken is not even meat. But because it looks the same, therefore they made a rabbinical law that you could, poultry is supposed to be treated like meat, as far as waiting 6 hours for between milk and meat and eating together and so on. So the point is, Rabotai, is that oneg, celebration, also symbolized by meat. It's because of our nature. So for all of these vegans and vegetarians, this is a very serious problem for them. Because we have entire sections of the Talmud, entire sections of the Shulchan Aruch, dedicated, and the 5 books of Moses, dedicated specifically to kosher food. And the kosher food, I don't mean kosher candy. I don't mean kosher Tic Tacs in Israel and not kosher in America. I mean kosher meat. The whole process of making it kosher. So it's part of Judaism. It's a very serious part of Judaism. So being a vegan and being a vegetarian is not exactly ideal in Judaism. I know that there's some rabbis in Israel that are koflim, that tell people that no, eating meat is tsar bal chaim, you're torturing the animals, all types of craziness that they're creating just to make money from the crowd and come up with something new, as if our Torah is not endless. But the point is, Rabotai, is our Torah has a very serious part of it that is based about meat. So unless it makes you sick, or like literally it's something that like you grosses you out or something like that, like it's really like something that hurts you, you have to find a way to eat a little piece of meat. For Shabbat, for Yom Tov. Not necessarily every day. For Shabbat, for Yom Tov, have a little piece of meat. Again, I don't necessarily know if anybody's going to go to Gehenom for not eating meat, but there is a Gemara that says that Hashem is going to prosecute us on every single thing we didn't enjoy that He gave us the ability to enjoy. Meaning He gave you certain things to enjoy in this world. He didn't make all the beautiful colors just for show. He didn't make all the different types of fish and different types of poultry and different types of meat and different types of flavors just for show, to show you how great He is. He also did it for you to enjoy it. So He is going to prosecute us for not enjoying the things He allowed us to enjoy. Because people that do too much, and they're not at the level to do too much, end up making Judaism look bad. Ends up becoming Chilul Hashem. And the reason why, because they don't eat meat. So somebody that doesn't know the rules comes, sees them, is like, oh, there's no meat in this religion, there's no fun in this religion, there's no this and this, there's nothing. No, I'm going to stay a goy. I'm going to do anything. Why? Who wants to do this? So meat is a very serious part of Judaism again. That's the third thing that Hashem told me to tell you guys. As far as the mitzvot themselves, again, the mitzvot themselves have many, many reasons. Tachles, though, the bottom line, why the meat is connected to Pesach, is connected to the korbanot, is connected to all of the different meats that we have. The real reason is nothing of what I just said. It's nothing of what I just said. You know what the real reason is, guys? Hashem said so. That's the real reason. That's the real reason. How do we know? In the parasha, it talks about para aduma. Hashem Yitbarach says, after He tells us about the para aduma, He says, Zot chukat Torah. This is the law of the entire Torah. Wait a minute, I should say, this is the law of the para, of the cow, the red heifer. Not the whole Torah. The whole Torah has tefillin, has Shabbat, has tarat mishpacha, has a lot of things, not just para aduma. Why are you saying this para aduma is the entire Torah, Hashem? Hashem doesn't make mistakes. It's this Torah. So what does it mean? Shlomo HaMelech from here learned, at this point, at this juncture, after he saw this parasha, and he understood and he delved into this pasuk, he says, from here I learned, I know nothing. Not that I don't know anything about para aduma, that it's too difficult for me. No, that everything that I know is still nothing about everything else. About Shabbat, about tarat mishpacha, about kosher, about shlom bayit, about everything. Everything I still know, as wise as he is, I still don't know anything. Why? Because in reality, the real reason we keep Shabbat is not because it's the seventh day. We don't keep kosher because it's healthier. We don't do Brit Milah because it's the 8th day. We don't have Tarat Mishpacha because it gives you separation. We don't do all of it. Why do we do all of it? Because Hashem said so. And why Hashem said so is beyond me. Shlomo HaMelech said, why Hashem said so, I have no idea. That's the entire Torah. It's not the entire parah. It's not just the cow. It's the entire Torah is like that, he says. The entire Torah is because Hashem said so. That's when I understood the only reason to do anything is because Hashem said so. That's the simple, difficult answer. Next question. Hopefully it gave you the answer, I hope. If not, we'll have to do another shiur. Yes?
Why do Egyptians have sheep as their gods if they pass by and kill them?
Okay, so the Egyptians were fools. The Egyptians were fools, and unfortunately, many people today are not different. People love the truth. We tell them, listen, I have insider information. I have the true information about this drug. And the market doesn't know it yet. I have the real information. I'm willing to sell it to you for a few dollars. You go get money, invest in this company before the market finds out, before the FDA releases it, you're going to make millions. You tell this to somebody, average person, pay you anything you want. Why? You can make zillions off of this. If he gets caught, he goes to jail for 25 years, but it's a different story. He doesn't think about that far. And people are willing to risk their life for this little bit of truth. You're not telling him a lie. You're telling him the truth. He loves it, he's willing to pay you anything for it. There's a hedge fund manager, a former hedge fund manager, Indian guy, Raj Rajaratnam, that was worth a few $1 billion. But part of the way he made some of his billions was from insider information, and now he's in jail for the next 25 years. He got a judgment worse than murderers. According to Allah, insider information is not wrong. It's perfectly fine, but according to the law of the United States, it's wrong, and you go to jail for worse than murderers. Very stupid if you ask me, but no one's asking me. The point is, Rabotai, is that little bit of truth, people will pay for. People will pay for. Somebody asks, is that woman available? I'm looking to get married. He says, listen, she's available, but she only talks to people that I recommend. So I could tell her that you're available, but I need a shidduch fee. Only $15,000. Only. For you, $14,900. For you, $14,900. The guy, if he has the money, and he's looking for a shidduch, and he likes the girl, he likes the way she looks, because he doesn't know her yet, he's willing to pay, no problem. He's willing to pay for the truth. No problem. Such is the way with everything else, Rabotai. People spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every year of their life to get the truth. They call it self-help. They go to Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, all of these coaches. There's some other really famous guy, I forget his name, Russian guy. He's a Jew, actually, from what I know. He became famous recently. Very successful guy that curses every 2 seconds. There is also the former criminal, the guy that made the Wall Street movie. I forget his name. Oliver Stone's not a Wall Street guy. Oliver Stone's a producer. The guy that made the movie. The Jordan Belfort. He's a very smart guy, and he used to be a criminal, but now, Baruch Hashem, he did tshuva, at least for his ethical aspect of it. From what he's actually a Jew. So Baruch Hashem will do tshuva one day. But anyway, he's a very smart guy, and people are willing to pay him hundreds of thousands of dollars to tell them the truth that they already really know of why they're not succeeding. Not just teach them how to sell, teach them a strategy, which doesn't take that long to learn, but to remind them of things they already know. You have to wake up early, go to sleep late, be motivated, be aggressive, don't take no so quickly, smile and dial, stop kvetching, stop smoking, stop complaining, and so on and so forth, just over a seminar of 2-3 days. And they'll pay him $50,000, $100,000, $200,000. And there is a whole multi-billion-dollar industry called coaching, built on the back of this whole methodology of teaching people what they already know, really. How do you have a good relationship? Well, first of all, stop cursing your wife out. Second of all, stop cursing your husband out. Third of all, stop cursing, period. Fourth of all, be nice. Fifth, be generous. And teach you all the things you really should have known, unless you're a zoo animal. You know all this. But you need somebody to remind you, with a little bit of oomph in between, to slap you into reality, telling you you're da-da-da-da-da if you don't do this, you're da-da-da-da if you don't do that, and so on and so forth. So, Rabotai, there's a multi-billion-dollar industry built on this truth. People know it, but they're willing to pay somebody tens of thousands of dollars to remind them. As I always say in the past, the reason why is because none of this truth obligates them. If you go to Jordan Belfort's or Tony Robbins or any of the other people's lectures or seminars, and they tell you whatever they tell you, cheer on with 100,000 other people that are there. Yeah, this, that, oh, everybody's all amped up. You have to be like a tree if you're not amped up. There's so many people amped up. You're gonna get amped up just for being there. Yeah. And then you go home back to your life in Colorado and Kentucky and New York and wherever you came from. You came from somewhere. You go back to your desk job and you're typing again instant messages to your boyfriend and your girlfriend all day instead of doing work. Nothing happened. You spent $5,000 on a lecture. Nothing changed. Do you think Belfort or Robbins or Ziegler or any of these people care? Not 1 second. As a matter of fact, it's good for business. Why? You come back again. Because you weren't motivated enough after the first time. But you feel like at least you've done your part. Why? You paid the $5,000. You paid the $10,000. Okay, I paid. I didn't do it. It's my fault, but whatever. You don't have anything wrong with them. You have no qualms about what they did. They did their job. You just didn't do yours. Didn't obligate you. Now, Rabotai, comes things that will change your life. When it comes to Mussar, when it comes to the very same exact teaching, just add on top of it the biblical laws. When I add one thing to it, everything the same thing. Don't be mean, don't be this, don't be ungrateful, all the same rules. I only add, by the way, God said it. Not me, God said it. And if God said it and you don't listen, he's going to rip you into 50 million pieces. What he's going to do? Lost money. You know why you lost money? Because you're cheap. Oh, she got cancer. You know why you have cancer? Because she has avodah zarah in the house, in the head, under this, or that. That's why they get cancer. That's what the Doleadois, Rav Kaduli used to say. The reason why there's a huge amount of cancer in the world today, specifically today, more than ever in history, why people are going bald is because the Gemara in Masechet Shabbat says one of the things we learned from the prophet Isaiah is the punishment is measure for measure. You put hair where it doesn't belong, there will be baldness in that spot. Shem Achem, where you see, what's the number one thing that happens to people that have cancer? They lose their hair. Rav Kaduri used to say this all the time. Everybody conveniently forgot that he said it. They keep putting the wigs on, they put everything on, but they want the brachot anyway. So anyway, Rabotai, the reality is that our Torah obligates you. Meaning it tells you that not only did God say it, but he also said if you don't do it, you're in trouble. But you're not in trouble with me. Who am I, Bechlal? Who's the rabbi? Well, he has a beard, big deal, he has a beard. I have a longer beard. What do I care? You're in trouble with him. Who wants to be in trouble? Who in their right mind wants to be in trouble with Hashem? Now all of a sudden, everybody starts taking the spears out and they start throwing it at the speaker. No, you're wrong. You're making it up. Rav Kaduri never said it. I never saw it. So if you didn't say it, doesn't mean you didn't say it. No, God never saw it. I never read that. So you never read it. That means you didn't say it. Just read it. What, am I making it up? What do I have, a hat store that I'm making a lot of money out of from all the people that are taking off their wigs? I have a Shabbat store that I'm making a lot of money out for all the people who keep Shabbat? What? What's my motivation? But as soon as you tell people the truth that obligates them, everything changes. Everything changes. Because of this, Rabotai Yekarim, people create idolatry. It's not that idolatry creates itself. Idolatry, idols, Enaim laim velo yeru, oznaim laim velo yishme'u, pe laim velo yidabru. They have eyes they can't see. They have ears they can't hear. They have mouths they can't speak. They're nothing. They're nothing. They're the creation of the creation. They're the creation of the creation. Just like Hashem said to the prophet Jeremiah, two sins my children did. Two sins. One, they went against me. Two, they replaced me with a broken cistern. They replaced the source of all water with a broken cistern, with a hole in the middle of the desert, doesn't have anything in it. Not only they went against me, but they replaced me with nothing. They replaced me with the creation's creation. This, Rabotai, is one of the most important things we need to learn for Pesach, for cleaning Pesach. In Parashat Vayera, it says, "Vaydaber Moshe ken el bnei Yisrael, velo shamu al Moshe mikotzer ruach ume'avodah kasha." It says in the book of Exodus, Sefer Shemot, chapter 6, verse 9, it says, "So Moses spoke accordingly to the children of Israel, but they did not listen to Moshe because of the shortness of breath and hard work." Shortness of breath and hard work. So the Chachamim ask, what do you mean hard work? What's happening here? What does it mean hard work? What? Egypt, they're already there for 200 years. They didn't get used to it? So the average guy is going to tell you, yeah, look at the pshat. The basic meaning means that the Paro, after Moshe Rabbeinu came, he said, you want to bring them out of here? You want to do what you want to do? Now I want to make their work even harder. How? I'm going to take away the tefillin. To make the stones, going to make it even more impossible for them. But I'm still going to require them to have the same quota. And if they don't meet the quota, instead of the blocks, instead of the stones, I'm going to put their children instead in the walls. And that's what happened. Shem Menachem. So the first answer would be, the very basic, what you're going to hear in Leila Seder, is that Paro HaRasha Yimach Shimo V'Zichro made it hard labor for our forefathers. Made it hard for them. But it was already hard for them. Out of 210 years we were in Egypt, it was as difficult as hell. Okay, so now you made it a little more difficult. That's going to make us not listen to the Mashiach. That's going to, because think about it. If nothing changed and work got worse, work got better, every day is the same for them. Why? Every day they're slaves. They don't get any money. They don't get any pleasure out of it. Even after, one of the punishments they had is even after they built the towers, even after they built everything, Paro was such a rasha, he didn't even want to give them any pleasure out of it, so he would destroy it. Ochaba, have a seat. He didn't even want to give them any pleasure out of it. He wanted to simply not even give them any pleasure whatsoever, so he would destroy it. No pleasure whatsoever. Move down one chair. Move down, Michael, one chair. Move down one chair, so it's short of me. So, Rabotai, even the pleasure of building something, the sense of pleasure a person builds, when you're a little kid, you build Lego, or build a puzzle, At the end, after you finish completing it, there's a sense of pleasure. You built a little car, you built a little house, you built a ship, you built something. It's a sense of pleasure that you get. Even that, Paro Rasha did not want to give them. He didn't want to give them that even. So now, this, out of 210 years, Chazal says at least 86 years, maybe as much as 116 years. Of the 210 was this nightmare. No pleasure in anything, slaves, day and night. The women had to convince the men to bring children to the world, to be with them. Why? Because the Paro is killing everyone anyway. Why are you going to bring more kids to the world? But the women said, we are obligated to do what we're obligated. We're not obligated to use our mind, we're obligated to do what Hashem said. So now if you say that if it was just really a change, it went from hard work to harder work, it doesn't make much sense. Why doesn't it make much sense? It was hard already. Now what are you waiting for all these years? You're waiting for the Goel, you're waiting for the Mashiach to come save you. Because that's what Yosef HaTzadik told his brothers. Pakod Yifkod, he told them a code word. Somebody's going to come to you one day, Hashem's going to send him. He's going to say these two words. He's going to say these two words. If he says to you, he's the Goel, he's the Mashiach. Listen to him, he's going to take you out. So for 200 years, they're waiting for this. Finally he comes. Finally he comes, Moshe Rabbeinu comes, and they listen to what he says. They listen to what he says. But now it says, at the end, at this parasha, it says, Vaydaber Moshe b'nei Yisrael, v'lo shamu et Moshe. Moshe spoke to the children of Israel, but they didn't listen to him anymore. They listened to him before, now they're not listening to him anymore. Why? Hard work. So what does this mean? Chazal asks this is a really serious question. What does it mean? They listened before, now they're not listening? You've been waiting for me for 200 years. Mashiach arrived. Imagine, Mashiach, hello, Asaf, I'm here. Let's go. No, we're busy. We have a shiur Torah, come after. There's a shiur Torah, Mashiach. Mashiach, no, I got work tomorrow. I got to go. I'm cooking a steak. Because he told me that I have to take out the fat and everything. I'm cooking a steak. I'm learning halachot of making steak. Mashiach is here. You're not gonna get up. You're not gonna go. The code. No, Mashiach. You're gonna be the first one singing. So Mashiach finally arrived. What do you mean? I didn't listen to him. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense, Rabotai. You ever asked these questions? So now, Rabotai, what does Chazal say? Chazal says they were short of breath. And they didn't listen. Why? Because this was a generation of no Emunah. What does it mean they had no Emunah? What does it mean they had no Emunah? They believed Hashem existed. They didn't think that the idol they're praying to is doing anything. That Hashem can't do or something like that. But they were connected to their idolatry. They were connected to their avodah zarah. They were connected to their materialism. They were connected to something physical. Now, why is avodah zarah so bad? Why is it so bad to the point when the Mashiach arrived, Moshe Rabbeinu arrived, and they don't want to listen to him? The sages explain, why don't they want to listen to Moshe Rabbeinu? Why? Because of avodah zarah. Not because of the hard work of the Paro with the stones and everything else. No! They don't want to leave their avodah zarah behind. They said, you have what? You have this God of Israel, and everything's good. But I'm already used to my Buddha. I'm already used to my JCPenney. I'm already used to my money. I'm already used to my wig. I'm already used to my house. I'm already used to whatever materialism I connected my life to that gave me meaning, even though that meaning is insignificant. In reality, to me, it's mine. To me, it's mine. This is my life. My sports is my life. My soccer is my life. My basketball is my life. My TV is my life. My business is my life. The girls are my life. The cats are my life. Whatever, that's my life. The sages say, that's avodah zarah. As soon as you instilled power and love to something other than Hashem that's controlling and navigating your life, that's the definition of avodah zarah. Am Yisrael suffered from this. Am Yisrael still suffers from this. The truth is, Rabotai, if Mashiach arrived right now, most people will come back next year. The truth is, Rabotai, if Mashiach arrived, they would tell him, please come back next year. I'm doing an extension to my house. I got a deal to make. I got a girl to marry. I got a guy to this. Everybody's got something to do. We're too busy. And now the Chachamim say, Rabbi Chaim Paltiel says, the hard work was their connection to avodah zarah, which they had a hard time leaving. Now, what type of avodah zarah did they have? If you're thinking, oh, Paro made himself avodah zarah. Paro made himself avodah zarah. But in reality, everybody hated him. Why? He's making them work. So it's not that avodah zarah. It's hard to leave. Everybody has a bad boss at some point, and they're scared to leave. Maybe he's going to badmouth me. Maybe I'm not going to be able to get a job. Maybe he's going to ruin my license. But in reality, at some point or another, when you can't take it anymore, you leave. So it wasn't just Paro. The other avodah zarah was the goat. Like he said, the goat. The goat had a nice long beard. He said, oh, the goat has a beard. We have to, it's avodah zarah, no? The goat, when Hashem said, listen, this goat that you've been worshiping, I want you to cook him. What? I want you to cook him. Make a nice little barbecue on Tuesday. Make a barbecue out of it. There's two reasons to be afraid here. Number one, it's their God. Am Yisrael, I'm not talking about the Egyptians. Am Yisrael was worshipping the goat too. Want to cook my God? It's a problem. Okay, in reality, we all knew it's not really God. Because now Hashem really rocked the place. Dam, Tzfardea, Kinim, okay, he's not really God anymore. Fine. Okay, you convinced us. You sold. But now we have a different reason I'm scared. Why? It's the Egyptians people's God. They still believe he's God. So now if we kill this God, the Egyptians are going to kill us. And not only does Hashem want us to kill him, he wants us to embarrass him, shame him, desecrate him. How? Tie the goat to the corner of every bed. Make sure he screams really, really loud so the Egyptians come. When the Egyptians come, make sure you tell them so they see. Oh, well, what are you doing? It's my God. Yeah, it's your God. I'm going to cook him in a couple of days. Do you know what kind of koach emunah you have to have? What kind of power of emunah you have? They don't have emunah, it says, though. They don't have emunah. But Hashem says it's the only way you're leaving. Hashem put their back against the wall. He says, listen, I wrecked the whole place, but you still can be killed tomorrow. You have to do 2 mitzvot in order for me to remove you out of Egypt. Up to now, you had Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov's merit. To leave, you need to do 2 mitzvot. 1, Brit Milah. 2, kill their God. Killed your God. Kill the fake God. Kill the goat. Kill that connection. But it's hard for us. Too bad. Either that or you die. But you can't kill him on the corner so nobody sees. You have to make sure the whole world sees. You can't be a Jew in hiding when no one sees. The kippah is always in the pocket. See those people? The kippah is always in the pocket except when they make sure nobody sees. They're like a secret Jew. Or she wears the mitpachat all year round except when it's a wedding. Or a bar mitzvah, she wears the wig. If the real you is gonna be an idol worshiper, then you'll be an idol worshiper in front of everybody and alone. Why? What do you think? God's not over there? Or they pretend like they're tzaddikim except in business. In business, it's okay for them to cheat. This Rabotai is a serious problem. Serious problem. Hashem says, the korban is your tshuva. That's the mesirut nefesh. And this is why we have Shabbat HaGadol. Shabbat HaGadol that we just passed, the Baalei Mussar says, the reason why we have Shabbat HaGadol is because the biggest miracle in the entire story of Exodus happened on Shabbat HaGadol. What was it? The Korban. What's the Korban? When the Egyptians arrived, saw the Korban, Am Yisrael told them, yes, this is your God, I'm going to kill him in a few days, and the Egyptians didn't kill them. That, Rabotai, was the biggest miracle of all. Bigger than the blood, the water turning to blood, bigger than the frogs, bigger than the hail. There was ice and lava inside it, things that define nature. All the things, Rabotai, that we see as miracles, Hashem says, Am Yisrael stepping up here and saying, we're going to kill your Egyptian god, that was the biggest miracle. But still, there's another god. Still after this, there's another god, which is the Nile River. The Nile River was all the minhagim, all the things, even though they would worship the Nile River itself. But this also, the sages explain, this is all the customs that the Egyptians unfortunately influenced Am Yisrael with. So even though we didn't change our language, we didn't change our name, and we didn't change our clothing, that also means everything else we changed. That also means everything else we changed. And Orach Chaim HaKadosh says, why do they have idol worship? Why were they so connected to these Egyptian minhagim? They were connected to the materialism of building the biggest house on the block, of a new car every 2 years, of chasing money instead of chasing the truth, chasing money instead of chasing God, chasing girls even though you're already married. Oh, I'm just looking. In Gehenom, they're going to let you look also. I'm just looking. A lot of guys just looking. In Gehenom, they're going to make sure you look real good. But we got used to it. Why? Egyptians are doing it. Why can't I do it? Egyptians are doing, why can't I do it? Egyptians are chasing cars. Look how many cars each guy has. Each guy, you got 2-3 cars. An average family in America has 2-3 cars. Why can't I have 2-3 cars? But you only need one. Why didn't you have 3? And you don't need the one that's $3,000 a month or $2,000 a month. You need one that just gets you from point A to point B. This is, by the way, part of the reason why most people don't have money in this country or anywhere. You see, I see people all the time. It's unbelievable to me. No one has any money. It's unbelievable. No one has any money. Doesn't matter how much money they make. Doesn't matter if they work for the bank, the insurance company, the mob, the government, Bitcoin incorporated. It doesn't make a difference. No one has any money. People don't stop talking about all the money they're making, but no one has any money. Why? All you need to do, Rabotai, is on Shabbat, if you're in a Kiruv, Bezrat Hashem, you're in a Kiruv, you go in a place, just walk around. Walk around. You don't have to look at people. Walk around. Just look at just around you. You see in a Jewish neighborhood, you see everybody's got a car, but no one chas v'shalom has a car that's older than 2 years. No one chas v'shalom has a car that's older than 2 years. Everybody has to be brand new car, but not one, at least 2. No, have 5 cars for all I care. But you see, just in the parking lot of an average Jewish neighborhood, you already have $3,000 a month in payments. Average parking lot, at least $3,000 a month. Why? The car, if it's you're going to get a little Hyundai for $150? What, neon? What, look homeless to you, Kvod Harav? Got to have at least a Beamer. Got to have at least a Benz. Got to have at least a Lexus. What do you look homeless to you? $700 a month. I can afford it. Okay, $700. That's just for the car. The wife, what, the wife is going to be homeless? No, the wife also has $700 a month. So now you have $1,400 a month. Why? It says you have to have insurance. The law in America, you have to have insurance. If it's brand new, it has to be full coverage. So insurance is another $500-$600 a month, $1,000 a month. Minimum $2,000 a month. Minimum $2,000 a month. Minimum. Just average parking lot. In reality, now the kid's growing up. He has to have a car. What, am I homeless? The kid's going to say, like the father said, well, am I homeless? I'm going to get a 10-year-old car, Abba? I have to have at least like you. At least brand new Beamer. Okay, not the 7 Series, the 3 Series. It's only $450 a month. Only $450 a month. People eat the whole month for $400 a month. Only $400 a month. He wants the car. Just the car. And the insurance is $1,000 a month because he's 12. But anyway, the reality is, Rabotai, now you've gone from $2,000 to $3,000. $3,000 just in your parking lot. Parking lot. Then you see the house. Baruch Hashem, every house, ken yirbu. Every house, Baruch Hashem, is continuing to expand. Continues to grow. It's like a pregnant woman that doesn't stop. Baruch Hashem, but this woman, it's not 9 months. The house continues to grow. 9 years later, he gives birth to another floor. 9 years later, another floor. 9 years later, he buys the next house. It's not enough. But there's less people every year because the kids get married, they go away, they go somewhere else. There's less people, but there's more house. By the time they're 70 years old, there's 87 rooms, no people. There's a dog and a cat that comes to visit from the neighbor once in a while to eat some chulet. That's it. But the house is huge. Every house, Rabotai, every house, no one can afford it. Every house, we're ruining ourselves. Why? Now you got the house, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000. The guy spends an average mortgage is $2,500, $3,000, $4,000. So just between the car to get to work, to make the money to pay for the mortgage, and the mortgage itself, not including taxes, not including food, not including all the shtuyot that we spent on, we're already at $7,000 a month. Between the car and the house, then food. No, come on, when the homeless have to eat out at least once, twice, 3 times, 4 times a week. At least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times a week. At least steak for $70. At least. Why am I homeless? Come on, I have to eat. I work hard. I can't eat. So, I'm not talking about the food for the groceries that you have to eat, the cornflakes and the Cheerios and all that stuff. I'm talking about food just to go every day. You spend $100, $150 a week. Minimum if you're single. Okay, single guy, how are you going to find a girlfriend? You have to take her out. So that's $300 a week. Or if you're married, you have kids, $500 a week just on eating out. Meaning, just to survive in this materialistic world, if you have no Torah, minimum just eating out without groceries, you're at $10,000 a month. You're $10,000 a month. Now groceries, what are you going to do? Homeless? You have to eat, right? Everything's homeless. Everybody tells me, homeless? Everybody's homeless. They think that if they don't eat steak for $90, they're homeless. The homeless guy is saying, give me $90 for a whole month. I'll eat for the whole month for $90. But anyway, now we have groceries. Then we have the bills. Then we have the basic stuff that you actually really need. The gas to fill up in the actual car that's $1 zillion. And the house that's $1 zillion. The taxes on it that no one can afford. And this is why, Rabotai, as soon as the market drops just a little bit, you start seeing people commit suicide. Really suicide. Why? They all depended on a unrealistic bubble. Whether it's the real estate bubble, or the Bitcoin bubble, or the stock market bubble, or even their job bubble. Even their job bubble. Meaning, their job is not as secure as they really thought it was. They got fired. You know how many good guys I know that got fired from Lehman Brothers, from Smith Barney, from Citicorp, from Bank of America, guys that are smarter than anybody else in this room. Geniuses, giants in the financial market I'm talking about. Each guy was making $1 million or more a year just to walk in, not including commissions. Each one of them was on the unemployment office waiting for $200 a week. Why? Market crashed. Market crashed. Lehman Brothers went out of business overnight. Lehman Brothers, one of the biggest companies in the world, went bankrupt in one day. But you think all those guys thought that they're going to be collecting unemployment for the next couple of years because no one's going to hire them because no one has any jobs? This is just an irregular, whereas people are multi-million-dollar producers. But us, well, so no, I'm a lawyer. I don't have to worry about the market. Wait, you'll see. Because the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin says, En ben David ba, Ben David, the Mashiach is not going to come until everyone's broke. We're making it easy. We're making it easy because we're so connected to the materialistic world, we're creating the bubble. Instead of using the materialism that Hashem gave us to honor Him, we're using it to desecrate Him, or at the very best case scenario, just to honor ourselves. You ask a guy, do you have any money for tzedakah? The rabbis are coming, they're collecting for yeshiva, they're collecting for kollel, they need a couple $100,000 a year to finance the eating of 10 people, 10 families. The eating of 10 families with $200,000, what you spend on your car. No, I don't have any money, I'm broke. How are you broke? How? You make $200,000, how are you broke? Everybody's broke. Why? You spent it on the car, spent it on the house, spent it on eating out 9 times a week, spent it on everything else. Of course, he's not lying. He really is broke. He really is broke. And then you count the extra gift that he borrowed money for, the $15,000 watch that he has on his hand. He's not only broke, he's in debt. And that's why you see, Rabotai, people that are making 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 a month. Doesn't make a difference. They live paycheck to paycheck, just like the guy that's making $3,000 a month. It's no difference. No difference from you, no difference from the guy that's a multimillionaire. No difference. Everybody's got this pressure on their neck. Everybody feels like they have a sword on their neck, that if they don't make it this next month, they're going broke. They don't make it one more month, I'm finished. I can't make it, I can't make it, I can't make it. Why? We've made materialism into our avodah zarah. Now this materialism, this avodah zarah, the sages say is very, very hard to leave. And the reason why is because like an octopus, it reaches far. So it starts with the car, it starts with the house. It's easy to gather expenses. I remember when I was in the business world, I had $150,000 to $180,000 a month in bills. $150,000 to $180,000 a month in bills, meaning every month mattered. Meaning just to live, we had to have $200,000. Obviously, it's not my personal life, it's the business. But nonetheless, you need a couple $100,000 a month. You had one bad month where you only brought in $50,000 or $100,000, which in that for a business was terrible. You already feel like there's something on your neck. Why? You have to start eating off of the savings. 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, a year of bad, you have a problem. Business goes out of business. But this is not just for big money. This is for small money too. Because it's very easy to accumulate expenses. It's very hard to cut them. It's very hard to cut them. So even after I knew that business is not going to be the same. I'm sick. Nothing's going to change anytime soon. The market's crashed. I lost a bunch of money. Clients lost money. Everyone lost money. Even though we could try to rebuild and make, either way it's going to take time. For the time being, this is what it is. You can't just go from $180,000 a month in bills to zero or to $20,000. Why? You have contracts. You have necessities. Your life is adjusted to that. The office is the office. You can't just say, by the way, I'm leaving the office. The lawyer is the lawyer. You can't just say, hey, lawyer, I don't need lawyers anymore. Now you need lawyers more than ever. Hey, food, I don't need food anymore. Now we don't need to eat anymore. What do you mean? You have 50 people to feed, 100 people to feed. And so on and so on. You can't just cut the expenses. It doesn't just go away. Because you've gotten used to it. So that's why the meltdown is either immediate, where pretty much you just shut down and you give up, because you're not even trying to save anything, or if you're trying to save anything, it's very, very slow death. It's very slow pain. And very few people make it. But that's because we're connected to it. We're connected to this avodah zarah. And I'll tell you a story of how the octopus reaches very far. I had a woman, Baruch Hashem, that gave up her pe'ah, gave up her wig. And Baruch Hashem, many women are giving up. Once they see the evidence, it's indisputable. You have to be mamash looking for lies in order to continue wearing a wig if you're watching the shiurim. So one of these women told me, no, I'm not wearing a wig anymore, Baruch Hashem. I haven't worn it in a while. Good news. Good news. Then she tells me, like, listen, I used to sell wigs. But I don't want anything. I have a bunch of wigs I have in a garbage bag. And I know they're worth a lot of money. But I don't want anything for them. Tzadikah. Baruch Hashem. I'm not going to sell them. She's out of the business. She left already before this or after. I'm not really sure what happened. All I know is that she has a bunch of wigs in garbage bags full. She says, I don't want anything for them. What should I do with them? I said, the only mitzvah you have is to destroy them. That's it. Not to sell them. Not to Jews. Not to non-Jews. You can't return them to the factory because then they'll resell them to somebody else and you'll benefit out of idolatry. Only mitzvah you could do is to destroy them. Now, up to now, everything sounded good. She says, I'm not wearing a wig. I'm not selling the wigs. I don't even want to benefit out of this. She said it. I didn't say it. She said, I don't want a benefit out of it. Now, all of a sudden, I say, you have to destroy it. All of a sudden, it's like, why can't I just return it? Well, all of a sudden, the Yitzhak comes out. It's like, yeah, but maybe I'll just return it to the factory. I don't know what they're going to do with it. Maybe I'll just, put it out in a garden somewhere. Maybe somebody's going to pick it up. Maybe all of a sudden, what we said, I don't want anything for it, all of a sudden the Yetzer Hara comes in and starts saying, wait a minute, you really going to get rid of me? You really going to get rid of me? At least get some money out of it. At least he wants to get at least one more sin out of you. Before, we were pretending, we don't need it. We don't need this avodah zarah. We don't need this car. We don't need this big house. We don't need the watch. We don't need it. The minute it comes push to shove, and the moment of truth comes, and it says, okay. Hashem says, okay, you're right. You don't need the car. You don't need the expensive house. You don't need this. You don't need this. Okay, get rid of it. No, let's go. Oh, yeah, but can I wear it just this week for this event? Can I just use it to go to this store, to this interview? Can I just do this? Can I just do that? And all of a sudden, the Yetzer Hara starts convincing us, Rabotai, that one more time, one more sin, a little bit more. Why one little? Once you do that a little bit more, he has you from all the way from the beginning, as if nothing happened. And that's what Orach Chaim HaKadosh says. Avodah Zarah is very difficult to get rid of. But Orach Chaim says, why was Am Yisrael so connected to Avodah Zarah? Because they did not have Torah. Because they did not have Torah. Once you have Torah, you already know the truth. The Torah is the only potion. It's the only cure for Avodah Zarah. Once you don't have Torah, you have to replace it with something. The only thing to replace it with is Avodah Zarah. It's either Hashem or Avodah Zarah. Something has to happen. Something has to be there. Am Yisrael did not have Torah in Mitzrayim. We had to go to Mount Sinai to get Torah. We're not in Mount Sinai. We have no Torah. We have to have Avodah Zarah. And that's why, Rabotai, the Chachamim say that it wasn't just Paro, it wasn't just the goat, and it wasn't even just the Nile River per se. It was connecting to all the minagim, the lifestyle of Egypt, the lifestyle of America, the lifestyle of materialism. All that life, we got in it. We got into it, we bought into it. Even though we kept our traditions, we kept our names, we kept our language, we kept our clothing, in reality we became Egyptians. And that's why Hashem says, you had merits until here. You had merits for me to destroy Egypt. To destroy the Egyptians up to here. To get out of here, you have to do two more. You have to do some mitzvot. Brit Milah and the Korban. Destroy their God. Why? You need to show me some type of mesirut nefesh, some type of self-sacrifice, something that shows me that you're willing to move ahead and abandon this avodah zarah, because cannot be avodah zarah and me. It can't be Torah and me. It cannot be. It cannot be Torah and me. It cannot be. That's why, Rabotai, a lot of the times when the Chachamim that talked against avodah zarah, whether it be materialism or any other type of avodah zarah, they talked about it very, very strongly. And it's not one of those things that's easy to get rid of. It's not very, but if you put somebody's back against the wall and you tell them, listen, it's either God or this. It's either you make it alive or you're dead. When push comes to shove, you're going to choose life. You're going to choose life. Even though it's hard. It's hard to live this way. It's hard to live the way where it's obligation after obligation after obligation after obligation. But if I tell you, listen, either you keep Shabbat or you have eternal suffering. Either you go and become a kosher person or everything that you're doing becomes worthless. It's not, listen, you could sneak in with your little bit of, thievery in your business, with looking at every girl, with, wasting seed here and there, with lying here and there. You can't get in. It's either you're going all in, you're much sacrificing this world, or you're not getting in. There's nothing else. And anyone that tells you otherwise is lying to you. No one makes it to Gan Eden with blood on their hands. No one. If you're coming to Gan Eden with your avodah zarah, they're not going to let you in. They're simply not going to let you in. Like, well, you're out of your mind. The first question, Rabotai, that they ask, Gemara Masechet Shabbat, says the following. What's the first question they ask? First question they ask is, did you conduct your business with Emunah? What does it mean you conduct your business with Emunah? Well, you said, Be'ezrat Hashem, I'm going to make money this month. Oh, Baruch Hashem, we made money last month. That's Emunah. Baruch Hashem, Be'ezrat Hashem are very nice things to say. Doesn't mean you have Emunah. Plenty of people say Baruch Hashem, and Bezrat Hashem on Shabbat when they're stealing from Hashem. So what does it mean? You conduct your business with Emunah. Did you conduct your business with Emunah and Hashem at all times? Meaning that when you took money from the customer, you were honest. When you gave money to the customer or a product to the customer, you were honest. When you did business with your vendors, you were honest. You had Yirat Shamayim. You were afraid of Hashem. You were afraid to cheat. Not because the guy's going to catch you, or the IRS is going to catch you, or your business partner is going to catch you, or anybody's going to catch you. You were afraid that Hashem's catching you. Not going to catch you. He caught you. He's watching. He's here. You took Hashem into account at all times. He's watching me do business. Unfortunately, today we live in a world where lying and stealing has become something of a second nature for people. People believe foolishly that in order to get ahead, you have to cheat, you have to lie, you have to steal. I see this all the time, unfortunately. Not just in the people that I meet, but people that I've already known for years. It's like you deal with a lawyer. The lawyer tells you, listen, I'm going to do this job. You tell him, listen, I have this case, I have this deal, I have this contract. Okay, how much? The guy tells you, okay, I want $25,000 for it. When you have the money and you have the need, you say, okay, no problem. Who do I make the check payable to? You give the guy $25,000. That's what he wants to do the job. That's what it's worth. Whatever. It is what it is. Everybody has to evaluate what things are worth to them. The guy says, I want $25,000. No problem. Then after that, you give him the money, he disappears. All of a sudden, when it comes push to shove, he goes, nah, I don't think I can do it. Okay, but you already got the money. Come on, stop being annoying. No, this, that. All of a sudden, after they got the money, it's like, you're being annoying. What do you mean? But I paid you the money. I have the right to be annoying. I paid you $25,000. I have the right to get a service for it. No, you expect too much. I expect exactly what I paid for, what we agreed to. What are you going to do? Sue a lawyer? And it's not 1, it's not 2, it's not 3, it's not 4, it's not 5. One after another. One after another. One guy, you pay him $12,000, $13,000, $15,000, whatever it is, to do something. All of a sudden, he forgot. What? How did you? You didn't forget when you sent me the bill for $15,000. 2 years passed. How come you didn't do it? Another guy, you paid $25,000. Push came to the shop. Oh, he's busy. What busy? I paid you $25,000 not to be busy. I don't know. I do this. Everybody, when it's time to collect the money, everybody knows. Everybody's on time. Everybody's excited. Everybody's happy. As soon as the check clears, bye. And they don't have 1 ounce of them that feels bad. Not even 1 ounce. Same thing with the doctors. Same thing with the car. Same thing. It's everywhere. Why? We feel like collecting money is our business. Doing a job? Somebody else will do it. Somebody else will do it. And that, Rabotai, that dishonesty in business, it's blood on our hands. It's blood on our hands. Also, when it gets to marriage, people are in a hurry to get married. Everybody's in a hurry to get married. Good, you need to get married so the guy doesn't sin and the woman doesn't do other things otherwise also. The problem is that people are excited to get married, but they're not excited to be married. They misuse each other. The husbands, the wives, they don't know what each other's role is. Sometimes the wives use the husband as a cash bank account. Sometimes the husband uses the wife as a bank account. Depends. Depends who has a better career. Sometimes the wife is a baby oven, and the husband is a womanizer. She's for babies, and everybody else that he looks at is for everything else. So she has his babies, but all the other girls that he looks at have his heart. Such a person has no place in Gan Eden. No place in Gan Eden. Rabotai, it's not easy. It's not easy. The Gemara says 3 things require self-sacrifice. Mesirut nefesh. What's Mesirut nefesh mean? Mesirut nefesh means sacrificing your life. Meaning, no life. All the pleasures, all the fun, all the things, sacrifice it. For what? For these 3 things. 1, become Talmid Chacham. Know Torah. You want to know Torah? It's not like learning math. It's not like learning science. It's not like learning history. Torah requires you to change your life. Because we don't just learn for the sake of knowledge. We learn for the sake of doing. Less sleep, less materialism, less sex, less eating. A lot of things. We're going to go over it, B'ezras Hashem, in a few months in the Mishnah in Avot, chapter 6. It gives you 48 traits, 48 steps of what's required to earn Torah. To earn Torah. You want to earn it? First and foremost, mesirut nefesh, self-sacrifice. Second thing, living in Israel. But not living in Israel right now, you get a house there if you have money, you can get a house. If you don't have money, you could probably still get a house. Somebody will lend you just because they're excited for you going to Israel. But living in Israel like a ish kadosh, a isha kadosha, someone that's doing the will of Hashem. Not just getting an address over there, a P.O. box. Mesirut nefesh. Why? It's difficult. There's difficulties with living there. Just today, Hashem Erachem, we had rockets launched. Well, no, there was rockets in the air.
No, but they said that idea apparently heard gunfire. They thought it was rockets.
Regardless,
it was from one of their own bases.
Regardless, the point is that you live in a place where at any minute there'll be a war. Any minute they could start a war. Any second there'll be a war. Any second there's an Arab terrorist. So it's mesirut nefesh to live in that place. It's a holy place. There's extra mitzvot you can do in Israel that you can't do outside of Israel, but nonetheless requires self-sacrifice. The third one and last one, Rabotai, and then I'll open it for questions for you. Actually, I'll give you one story and then I'll give you questions. Is the third one, Rabotai, is Olam Haba. The Gemara says you want to get even a chance to have Olam Haba, requires mesirut nefesh, requires self-sacrifice. You think you're going to get there while enjoying this world, enjoying your fast car and your big house and this and that? You got it all wrong. No one's saying you have to be homeless. No one is saying you have to be a beggar. But if you think that you're going to coast this life to get to Olam Haba, you haven't learned enough Torah yet. And whoever is telling you that is lying to you. There's no source for it in the entire Torah. If you have materialism, that materialism has to be used for the sake of Torah, for the sake of Hashem. Not for the sake of your Benz and your Bentley. You can have a Benz and a Bentley as long as you have enough Torah. As long as you have enough mitzvot. If your extra money is going to fund the extra gate at the Noahide Zoo for the elephant, you have no idea why Hashem gave you the materialism. If all your attention is going towards every single thing that moves, every girl that moves, all you're doing is looking at them, you haven't learned enough Torah. If your brain is still empty, if you're bored even for a minute a day, you don't have enough Torah in your mind. Someone that has Torah in their mind is never bored. It's one of the greatest things in the world. If you're bored for 1 minute a day, I'm not talking about bored the whole day. 1 minute a day you have boredom. 1 minute. You have boredom. Like you know, I used to smoke cigarettes. 20 years I smoked cigarettes. Part of the reason you smoke sometimes is because you're bored. You're burning time. You have a meeting, but it's not right now, so you got to burn 5 minutes. Perfect time for a cigarette if you're a smoker. You burn 5 minutes. When you learn Torah, there's no such thing. You learn Torah, really learn Torah. Not fake learn Torah, you learn a shiur once a week. Talking about real learn Torah, your mind doesn't allow you to do such things. It's always occupied with something. You're never bored. It's one of the greatest things in the world. Now, the two final things is that, as you can see I'm adding, the two final things that people need to understand as far as this mesirut nefesh is that we live in a generation where it's hard to make a choice. And the reason why is because we live in a dor shel yetomim, in a generation of orphans. We don't know who's a leader. We don't know who's an erev rav. We don't know who's an enemy. We don't know who's an ally. We don't know. It's hard. But we are required to have something called emunat chachamim. Emunat chachamim is faith in our leaders that are chachamim. So there's a very famous story of two couples coming to a Rav Ovadia. Rav Ovadia, alav shalom, loved Am Yisrael to no end. One time he had a heart attack on the way to a lecture. And he didn't tell anyone until the lecture was over. He got back on the chopper and he told the guy, listen, take me to the hospital. He said, Kodav, what happened? He goes, I had a heart attack. He goes, when did you have this heart attack? He said, on the way to the lecture. He goes, for the Rav, why didn't you tell me? I would have taken you instead of the lecture. or we'll take you to the hospital. You put your life on danger. He says, do you know how many thousands of people are waiting for the shiur Torah? You think I have the right to pay any attention to my heart right now? That's Mesirut Nefesh. Two couples came to Rav Ovadia, both crying their hearts out. Neither one has had kids in 10 years. Neither one have any kids. They're friends. They happen to be friends. So Rav Ovadia, they ask him for a blessing. Rav Ovadia says, you can have a child. In a year from now, B'ezrat Hashem, I'll pray for you, you can have a kid. They're both happy, they leave, a year later. One couple comes with complaints, no baby. The other couple comes with baby to say thank you. Say thank you. Exactly a year later, both of them come back. The one that's saying complaints, for the Rab, maybe you didn't pray for us because our friends got the baby. We don't have a baby. Maybe you forgot to pray for us. Maybe you're too busy. Maybe you have this, maybe you have that. He goes, no, you're going to have a baby. It's not Hashem. It's going to be okay. Don't worry. No, come on, for the Rab. Maybe something happened. Maybe, because you want me to tell you the secret of why it didn't work? I prayed for you. You know why I tell you the secret why it didn't work? He goes, you know what happened? Bring your friend. No, bring your friend. The friends with the baby come in. He says, what did you do after you left here, after I gave you the blessing? He says, for the Rav, to be honest, after you gave us the blessing, we went straight to the stores and we started buying baby clothes. Why? The rabbi said we're going to have a baby. We're going to have a baby. We started buying baby clothes. We didn't know it was going to be boy or girl. I don't know what the rabbi prayed, boy or girl. We bought neutral clothes. Neutral clothes, neutral crib, neutral this, everything neutral. Why? Rabbi said we're going to have a baby. He says it to the couple who didn't have a baby. What about you? What did you do after you left here, after I gave you the blessing? Tell you the truth. We went to the doctor to see if it's possible. That's the difference. They believed that the Torah has power to change nature. And they already acted based on my word. You just listen to what I say, and you left to go ask the doctor. You went and asked the avodah zarah. You went and asked the materialism of this world. You wanted it to be natural, but supernatural at the same time. You have to pick which one. There's something called Emunah Chachamim. You have to pick a side. But now in today's generation, Rabotai, we have a confusion. Many of the rabbis today are not rabbis. I'm sad to say. I wish there was more. Trust me, we need the help. Many of the rabbis actually are hurting Am Yisrael. They're confusing them. One particular issue that was a very big battle in New York was the issue of wigs. The same thing we've been talking about for the last couple of years. And in the shiur, one of the shiurim that we had in Queens, people were arguing the point, yes, but you know that Rabbi Belsky says that it's not avodah zarah. He wrote in 2005, after Rav Elyashiv said it's avodah zarah, that the wigs are coming from India, it's avodah zarah, Rabbi Belsky, shortly later, wrote something, said it's not avodah zarah. 13 years ago. Okay? And that's what we're holding by. They just found this. Nobody knew about this until I brought it up again, by the way. But here's the problem. First, even if you actually read not just the bottom line of the answer, you read the entire answer. The entire answer of Rabbi Belsky, he says, who am I bechlad to go against Rav Elyashiv? He himself says, don't listen to me. He just doesn't think, he didn't get to the same conclusion, but he said, don't listen to me, he's bigger than me. That's number one. Number two, where were you 13 years? How come you didn't know about this for the last 13 years? How come you just found it now? All the people that are holding by him. But those are just two small little tidbits, just as a little needle. What's the big atomic bomb? The big atomic bomb, Rabotai, is even if Rav Belsky is right, which he's not, even if he is, 90% of the people that are arguing this can't use it anyway. Why can't they use it? Because there's a Gemara. A Gemara in Masechet Rosh Hashanah, page 14. Page 14b says, Mikule bet Shammai ומקולי בית הלל רשע, ומחומרי בית שמאי ומחומרי בית הלל, עליו הכתוב אומר, והכסיל בחושך הולך. The Gemara says, Rabotai, the following. Someone who picks the leniencies of Bet Shammai and the leniencies of Bet Hillel. Like he beats both houses. Bet Shammai and Bet Hillel, they disagree. But he says, I'm going to take the leniencies from this rabbi. I'm going to take the leniency from this rabbi. Gemara says, Rasha. He's a Rasha. He's just looking for a shortcut. He's looking to make his own religion. Okay, fine. This guy wants to be ultra-religious. He says, no, I'm not going to take the leniencies. The opposite. He's going to take the stringencies of Bet Shammai and the stringencies of Bet Hillel. It says, on him it is written in the Torah, the fool will walk blind. The fool will walk blind. Why the fool will walk blind? It says the Torah does not allow you to pick and choose rabbis like salad dressings. You can't pick your rabbis. I'm going to hold by Rav Ovadia for everything except the peh nochrit, except the wig. I'm going to hold by Rabbi Belsky just for the wig, except on Pesach I'm going to eat rice. I'm going to be Sephardic the whole year, except on Pesach. I'm going to be Ashkenazi, or the opposite. You can't pick and choose rabbis. Today I'm here, tomorrow I'm there. Why? The Torah says, you do that, you're Rasha. Or a fool. Either way, you don't lose. You can't pick rabbis like you. You can't pick Chachamim that way. And that's something that the rabbis are not teaching. They're just telling them, yeah, but this rabbi said this, and allowing the crowd to assume. They don't tell them outright, listen, you can hold by this rabbi. They're saying, listen, but this so-and-so rabbi says such and such. And they allow the crowd, the foolish, ignorant crowd, like we were most of our lives, to arrive at their own conclusion by saying, oh, if such and such rabbi says it's allowed, he's a big tzaddik, I'll follow him. You can't, unless you follow his entire Torah. Unless he's your posek. Unless you're going to hold on. If you want to hold by Rav Belsky, you can't eat rice on Pesach. It's coming up. Throw it all out. You're going to wear a wig because of Rav Belsky? No problem. You cannot under any condition eat rice on Pesach. Why? He considers it's kitniot. But I'm Sephardi. Too bad. Now you're not. You hold by Rav Belsky. Oh, but my rabbi allows it. Okay, so the Rav Belsky is not your rabbi. Meaning, you can't pick and choose. You can't pick and choose Rav Eliashiv here, Rav Belsky here, Rav Ovadia here, this here, this. You can't. That's why it says, Aseh lecha rav, and tzeh me'asafek. Make yourself a rabbi and eliminate all doubt. Make yourself a rabbi, not a salad. And that's why Emunat Chachamim is very important. You have a rabbi, stick to it. Stop making laws. I used to like blaming the rabbis for everything I didn't know. Oh, these rabbis have different opinions. Yes, you're right. Many rabbis have different opinions. Make yourself a rabbi. Make yourself a rabbi. Yes, there's different rabbis with different opinions. There's a reason for that too. It's a living Torah. But nonetheless, make yourself a rabbi. You want to hold on to somebody that says it's allowed to wear a wig for a certain reason, hold on to everything they say. Yeah, but I don't know everything they say. Oh, that's a problem. That's a problem. You have to know everything they say. You have to hold on to everything they say. You can't pick and choose. And that, Rabotai, is only caused because of avodah zarah. It's only caused because we're connected to materialism. If I told you, listen, there's a law in the Torah, and for every second that you hold it, you get $1 million. You wouldn't even ask me what the law is. You say, okay, when can I start? I'll take 2. I'll do it twice a day. If I told you there's a law in the Torah, every time you hold it, you get $1 million a day. You tell me I'll do it all day. I'll do this, the only law I'm going to do, with Mahmir. Mahmir on this law. I'm going to be the most stringent guy on this law in the world. Why? Give me the money. I want materialism. If I tell you there's a law, you get nothing. You get 0. Who wants to do this? Not only that, you get a headache. It's getting worse. Not only that, everybody's going to look at you and you're not going to be the most popular guy. You're not going to be the most popular guy in parties. So this is getting worse and worse. It's called emet. It's called truth. You say the truth, you're not the most popular. You say the truth, you don't have too many friends. You say the truth, there's only one way. You say the truth, you don't get anything for it other than Gan Eden. In this world, you get nothing for it other than headaches. But over there, you get Gan Eden. You have to decide what you want. You have to decide what you want. A difficult life, everyone has. Doesn't matter how much money you have. Doesn't matter what car you have. Doesn't matter if you have wife and kids or you don't. Everyone has a difficult life. Anyone that tells you that by fulfilling the Torah you're not going to have a difficult life is lying to you. Difficulty is life. Everyone has difficulty. It's part of life. That's life. The minute you don't have difficulty, it's because you're dead. Or Hashem is taking a break for a little bit, maybe for like 5 minutes, and the difficulty is going to start again. Sometimes you have difficulty putting your pants because you're fat like me, or sometimes you have difficulty to arrive to a lecture because you have a flat tire. Sometimes you have difficulty eating because you don't like the food, but you don't want to tell the person that made it that it tastes like ashes. Sometimes you have difficulty that every time you eat, you vomit. Difficulty. Sometimes you have difficulty because the house that your family needs is 3 times larger than your salary. Sometimes you have difficulty because you feel like you're alone. You're in the middle of Montana. Like this guy that I met recently. He's in the middle of Montana, religious Jew. Baruch Hashem. But it's difficult to be alone in Montana, no community. But nonetheless, Rabotai, difficulties are everywhere. Disease, death, money, relationships. Everything is difficult. What the Torah does for us is it gives us a reason. It gives us a purpose behind the difficulty. That's what the Torah does. It doesn't eliminate difficulty. Of course, there's certain problems you won't have if you live a life of Torah, but you'll have other problems. But those problems you'll have, they'll have a purpose. They're problems with a purpose. That's something avodah zarah will never give you. Because avodah zarah will give you more problems, but no purpose. You'll never know why. Why? Because the avodah zarah is sitting in a garbage bag. It's a bunch of wigs. The avodah zarah is a bunch of stock accounts that you have, that you've sold your life to, and that's all you do and all you care about. You're following these accounts. That's your avodah zarah. Everybody has a different avodah zarah. Avodah zarah doesn't give you any purpose. All it does is give you problems, and it burns time. Torah gives you purpose. Once you have that purpose, you can get the happiness, both in this world and the next. And Bezrat Hashem, this Pesach, we clean out this avodah zarah. We clean out this chametz. That's the main thing. Clean out this chametz. Enough. I understand everybody needs a car, everybody needs a house, and everybody needs a steak once in a while, and everybody needs to live good, and so on and so forth. But enough's enough. Enough's enough. Everybody knows when it's still too much. It's not normal that you work all day and all night, you don't have any money. I don't care what job you have. It doesn't make any sense for you to work all day and all night and you don't have any money. It doesn't make any sense. You're doing something wrong. Either your money has no blessing because you're doing something wrong because you haven't done tshuva yet, or you're too tight to avodah zarah, you're too materialistic, and you're spending every penny you have. The house is bigger than you need, the food is more expensive than you need, the car is bigger than what you... There's a lot of reasons. We're too connected to this avodah zarah, Rabotai. It's time to do some Passover cleaning. Where's my avodah zarah? Okay, this I can get rid of. It's easy. Get rid of the easy ones first. Get rid of the easy ones first. Not because money is important and I need your money or anybody needs your money. Because it's good for you to realize this is avodah zarah, it's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. Whatever Hashem gave me, He gave me for a real reason. It's unnecessary. He gave me it for a reason, let me use it for that reason. If I don't have a reason, at least I'm not going to waste it for no reason. That's the purpose, Rabotai. That's how you can live a life without having any foreign intruders in your house, spiritual foreign intruders in your house that are ruining your life. That's how you eliminate this sword that a lot of people feel on their neck, that they have to work overtime constantly because they never have enough, or they have to compete with people. All these different things that are just literally self-inflicted wounds. Self-inflicted wounds. It's not, God's not doing it to you. You are. That's why Hashem gave us Pesach. Clean out the chametz, the spiritual chametz. You had a question?
I have a couple questions.
Go ahead.
You said it yourself. You can lead a life of Torah. You could also do business.
Mm-hmm.
You could lead a kosher business.
Mm-hmm.
And you can have both. That's the materialistic and Torah. You can have both. Obviously, if you keep it good portion of both.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of our people, unfortunately, don't understand that.
Okay.
So what is the approach to those people? they say they believe in God, but they don't do it.
So,
And they say that, oh, my kids are getting sick, or I feel about maybe because you're not keeping whatever. And they say, well, it doesn't matter. It happens. They come up with reasons that don't make sense. But they're wealthy, and they say, oh, I want to keep it once I hit. Basically, examples you give. What is the approach to them? What do you do?
there is a specific type of person that Hashem loves many people. He created us. He loves us. But there are certain types of people that the Torah says He hates them. He Mamash hates them. Not like we're not getting along, we should work things out, we should take a break. No, like He hates them. Mamash hates them. Like it says in the Torah, Et Esav saneti. I hated Esav. Why? Esav knew the truth and still did otherwise. Why? He blamed everything on nature. He blamed everything on happenstance. So in Parashat Bechukotai, Hashem Yitbarach tells us that going against Him is one thing. It's bad. You get punished for it. But then He says He's going to give double punishment for those that make it seem as if it's a happenstance. Make it seem as if this just happened. She just got cancer. You know what happens? A lot of people get cancer. Oh, you know, a lot of people have diabetes. Oh, you know, a lot of people get into plane crashes. Oh, you know, a lot of people get into car accident. You know, a lot of people this and a lot of people that. Et Esav saneti. Those people that say this is a happenstance, Hashem hates them. It says in the Gemara, He hates them. So now, if you start off first conversation to a person that doesn't keep anything, or keeps very little, or thinks he keeps a lot, but in reality is very, very far, you start telling him, start the relationship, or start the conversation, by the way, God hates you, it's not usually a good icebreaker. It's not usually a good icebreaker. Usually you're not going to be welcome to the next party. So, the most important thing, Rabotai, is learning. But not learning like they've been learning their whole life. Learning like we're learning. Learning like we're trying to learn. Learning Mussar. Learning the truth. Learning the truth hurts because it's a shell shock. So that's why I recommend for anyone that has an ounce of heart, a little bit of heart, if you still have enough heart, if you have enough, because the avodah zarah takes control of our heart. So if any of us have a little bit of heart left that's not avodah zarah controlled, that's why I say you have to invest in Kiruv. Because that's the only shot these people have. It's the only shot. I tell you, I go to New York, I go to California, I go to Israel, I go give you guys shiurim, different people, different places. Honestly, I tell you the truth. If it wasn't because of pikuach nefesh, I wouldn't do this. If it wasn't because I know for sure that if I don't do a shiur, someone's going to die, I wouldn't do this. In the beginning, when I first started it, it was fun. First started, it was like nerve-wracking, starting something new. Yeah, it's cool. After a while, it's really hard. Especially when the Satan starts showing up after, before, and during every lecture. It's very hard. Especially when the people you help throw stones at you. Especially when every day there's a new enemy. Especially when you're the only one that's out there that's screaming the truth regardless thick or thin. It's hard to do this. So, but the reality is, Rabotai, I see people, and I look at Am Yisrael, and I look at the books. It's not something that I make. I listen to my rabbis. I see what they say. I verify what he says. I verify what they say. I look at the books. I read the Gemarot. I read the Mishnayot. I read the 5 books of Moses. I compare what it says in the book and what Am Yisrael is. Rabotai, it's pikuach nefesh. It's life risk. Life risk, meaning people don't show up to shiur, most likely, not they're going to die the next day. They're doomed. Why? They're never going to do tshuva. There's no other way for people to do tshuva. There's no other way other than the truth. There's no other way. I know people that are going to shiur for 20 years, still haven't done tshuva. 20 years they're going to shiur and they haven't done tshuva yet. 20 years. Some people longer. In our generation, there's only a single way to do tshuva. A lot of people say, no, but I went to the Breslev and Chabad, and he started keeping this because of this, and he started keeping that because of this. Yeah, it's all nice. That's not tshuva. Tshuva is changing your life. Tshuva is working on your midot. Tshuva is changing you. Tshuva is eliminating avodah zarah, not embracing it. Tshuva is saying, what does Hashem want instead of what do I want? That's tshuva. How many people in the world do you have like that? According to our Torah, that's the only people who are going to make it. According to our Torah, it's the only people who are going to make it. The people that ask, what does Hashem want? Not what I want. What does Hashem want? All of these people that are trying to consume this world and pretty much have every pleasure in the world that they could possibly see, they haven't started tshuva yet. Why? Because they haven't figured out what the purpose of life is yet. I'm not saying you're not allowed to enjoy life, but to think that that's even something that's of significance, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. Now, the reality is that it's hard to do. It's hard to do all this. So how do you get people to do it? First thing is, I had the first lecture I had in New York to actually a crowd that was frum people. With the exception of one woman, everybody else was frum. Everybody else was religious. And for everybody in the room, everything I said was a chidush. Imagine. They all went to yeshiva their whole life. They all lived in religious homes. Everything I said, me, little old me that just started learning a few years ago, everything I said was a chidush to them. Everything was brand new to them. They're all religious, all go to yeshiva, all went to yeshiva. It's all brand new to them. Why? It's Mussar. It's reality. It's yirat shamayim. It's stuff that people don't teach anymore. And unfortunately, Rabotai, that's the ingredient that's going to cure us. Rabbi Israel Misalant in O Israel, it specifically says, unfortunately, we have as many doctors as we do medicine, meaning to cure physical diseases. But for spiritual diseases, we have only a single disease and no doctors. Because the only cure is Mussar and nobody wants to teach it. This is already 200 years ago. Imagine us. So Rabotai, there's very few people are willing to teach the truth. Very few. Rav Mizrahi, God bless him, he's been doing it for 23 years. I don't know how he survived. I'm struggling 4 years into it. Rav Ziton, God bless him, has been doing it for a few years. There's a few rabbis here and there that are doing good. They're getting people to do tshuva. But the reality is it's very, very difficult. Very difficult. Why? Because you're the enemy of the state constantly. And sometimes people start off by teaching Mussar. They get a few people do tshuva. But then they go into money trouble. Why? Nobody donates to Mussar. At least not relatively speaking. Chabad, God bless them, it's $1 billion a year budget. $1 billion a year budget for Chabad. Me, I only have $1 billion dreams. $1 billion budget they have. $1 billion budget, God bless them, maybe they have more. If they use it for the good. But the problem is for Kiruv, if you get somebody to donate $250, considered a big donor. 1,000? Wow, gvir. 5,000? Yeah, this guy's Rockefeller. It's hard. Big donor is very hard to find for real Torah. It's very hard. So now what happens? People start off good, but then there's the money test. There's the money test, which is daily. Daily money test. Why? How are you going to pay rent? How are you going to print CDs? How are you going to go to California? No one's paying for it. How are you going to go to New York? No one's paying for it. How are you going to go here? How are you going to go there? How are you going to do all this Kiruv you want to do? The books, the CDs, the this and that. What, with the $20 at a time that people are sending you? That's barely enough to survive. How are you going to eat? How? Who? Maybe you should say something nicer. Maybe you should talk about Emunah. Maybe you should talk about bitachon. Maybe you should talk about shlom bayit. Maybe you should talk about children. Maybe you should talk about neutral things that no one gets intimidated by. Because that way you get big donors. Yeah, but then I'm going to go to Gehenom instead. You see, Rabotai, the truth is very, very costly. It's very costly. So some people start off good and then they fail later. And that's why I always tell everyone that the shiur, number one fan of the shiur is me. Why? It keeps me in. It's a constant test for me. But the reality is that it's a constant test. And there's not many people willing to do it. And that's why it's pikuach nefesh. If as many rabbis as exist in the world were actually teaching it, I probably wouldn't be doing this. Probably wouldn't be doing this. There wouldn't be a need. There's no need. Let me go somewhere else where I'm needed. But because there isn't. That's why Rabbi Mizrahi is still kicking. He doesn't want to do it anymore. He wants to retire already. 10 years ago he wanted to retire. Every lecture he says, I'm going to retire, I'm going to retire, retire. Every lecture, ask him. I'm going to retire, I'm going to retire. No, he says, I'm going to retire. You have 5, 10, 20,000 lectures of his. You have enough Torah. You don't need him to go from place to place. He wants to retire, but he's not going to retire. Why? Can't retire. Who's else going to do it? Makom she'en ish tishtadel liot ish. A place there's no leader, you be the leader. There's no one else. There's no one else. Even if you have 1,000 of me, 1,000 of him, it's still not enough. Why? There's 20 million Jews. And that's the ones we know about. Not talking about the 200 million we don't know about. All over the world. So to get Am Yisrael to do tshuva, Rabotai, you have to treat it as it is. What is it? It's pikuach nefesh. If you don't do tshuva, if I don't do tshuva, we're doomed. Not just because of the Arabs, not just because of the Christians, not just because of money, not just because of all of it. Because of all of it. Because the Satan comes in different forms. Dawah for the Arabs, missionaries from the Christians, idolatry inside Judaism with the Whigs, idolatry, materialism of Wall Street. It comes in different forms. It comes in different forms. And it comes even as a rabbi. But the reality is that if you treat it like it's pikuach nefesh, all of a sudden everything else on your chart is no longer significant at all. Not that it's lower. It's no longer significant. Why? Think about it. If I have my dreams, I want a really fancy car. I want my own private jet. I want a building with my name on it. Like I used to actually want a building with my name on it. I want a building, I'll tell you all my past dreams. A building with my name on it. A car. Just walking into the office making $10 million without even walking into the office. Enough assistants just to do stuff without me doing anything. And so on and so forth. All this materialistic stuff. Companies, mergers, acquisitions, deal making, and so on and so forth. Somebody wants all this stuff. They want buildings and houses and cars and fame and fortune and TV and all this stuff. And the guy that has all of it, the guy that runs Las Vegas, he's a Jew, whatever his name is. Edelson. Okay? That guy has all of it. He's worth, $50 billion, something like that. He has all of it. He's on TV whenever he wants. He's got enough money to burn $1 billion a year if he wants for the rest of his life. He has whatever he wants. Now, moment of truth comes. Somebody says, by the way, you're going to die in 5 minutes. What you going to do? 5 minutes you have to live. You think any of those dreams mean anything? You think any of the billions mean anything? You think any of the planes even have a consideration on his chart of priorities? Any of the casinos, any of the past memories, any of the girls, any of the kids, any of the wives, any of the investments, nothing means anything. Why? Only thing you can figure out is how do I get more than 5 minutes? I got 5 minutes. How do I get more than 5 minutes? It's the only thing he wants. How do I get more? The guy that tells you I want to die, he only wants to die because he could still breathe. The minute he starts losing breath, he's like, how do I get another breath? How do I get another breath? That's why the Gemara says the body and the soul can have an argument. There was a debate between Antoninus and Rabbi Kadosh. Antoninus said to Rabbi, he said, listen, the reality is that the body's making the sins. The soul is pushing it. But the reality is they can both go up to Shemaim and say, listen, he did it. And the other one says he did it. So Hashem can't punish either one. Because it's a machloket. It's a debate. So Rebbe says no. The way it is that what is it like? Is that there was one time a king that had a very, very nice garden. And he hired 2 people. One guy was blind, and the other guy was crippled. And the reason why he hired these 2 people to watch the garden, he says, because they can't steal from me. There's diamonds, there's jewelry, there's fruits, there's all types of wonderful, miraculous things in this garden. If I get a guy that's, he's able to walk and see and everything, he's going to steal my stuff. So the guy that can walk, he's blind. The guy that can't walk, he could see. So they'll have to use each other to manage my garden, but they can't individually do anything. So what happened? So the 2 guys said, the guy that was blind said to the guy that's crippled, said, listen, I'm blind, but I can walk. You could see, but you can't walk, so climb on my shoulders, and we'll get some stuff here. There's a lot of fruits, vegetables, diamonds, jewelry, this, that, we could be rich. So that's what they did. They started taking stuff and started hiding it, and then the king showed up. What are you doing? Where's all my stuff? He goes, oh, how can we take it? I'm crippled. He's blind. How can we take it? And he judged them as if he put the one guy on top of the other, and he judged them as if they were one thief alone. One thief. Why? He says, yes, the blind by himself can't do. The crippled by himself can't do. But together you have to do. The soul by itself can't do. The body by itself can't do. But together you did. I judge you as one. I judge you as one. So this, Rabotai, is us. If a person understands that the only reason they were brought to this world is for their tshuva, and their tshuva requires to bring other people to do tshuva, Kiruv becomes number one in their life. There's nothing else of significance. Everything else becomes secondary. Everything else becomes secondary. Yes, they need to live, they need to eat, they need to work, they need to do the basic needs, but everything becomes secondary. Why? This I need to survive eternally. This I need for the next 5 minutes. I only have 5 minutes to live. This Kiruv is what I need for more time. This Kiruv I need for more time. 5 minutes I got. That's all I have. I'm like Edelson. I have 5 minutes to live. I want more than 5 minutes. I want more than 5 minutes. How am I going to get more than 5 minutes? I got to do Kiruv. I got to save Am Yisrael. I got to make Am Yisrael depend on me. Why? The only way they're going to do tshuva is if I donate the $10. Only way they're going to do tshuva is if I give a lecture. Only way to do tshuva is if I arrange the lecture. Only way that they're going to do tshuva is something depends on me. I'm going to share. I'm going to invite. I'm going to do something. Now, once you actually understand that it's pikuach nefesh, not just for them, but for you too, it becomes significant. But for most people today, they don't know this. Most people today, they don't even know they have to do tshuva. So that's why, for all of those that do know, you have to bring them to the shiurim, you have to set up shiurim, and you have to start caring. And that's what the frum crowd in New York was shocked and all agreed with. That this really is the number one thing that you need to do. Because when you go up to Shamayim, they're going to tell you, oh, it's good, you did tshuva, but how come you're so selfish? How come nobody else around you did tshuva? How come only you? How come nobody else did? Oh, I thought they're going to get to it on their own. Why? Well, how would they get there on their own? I got there on my own, so how come you got there on their own? Because I made you get there on their own, so you can help them. Not so you can just be there on my own. So what? Gan Eden is all for you, that's it, nobody else? What kind of Gan Eden is that? So that's why each one of us has to make it a priority. And that's why when people ask me, what should I do? There's one guy asked me a good question. Am I allowed to donate to an organization that protects the gun rights? NRA, I think it's called. Am I allowed to donate to NRA? And the answer, halachically, it's allowed. Halachically, you're allowed. There's a law in the land that actually helps the Jews. Helps everyone, but also helps the Jews. There's a gun law that you're allowed to have guns. So halachically, you're allowed to donate to them. Now, question is, should you donate to them? That's a different question. Why? If you understood the value of that law in Shemayim versus the value of a single Jewish soul in Shemayim, you would cry for eternity for every penny you ever gave them. Cry for eternity. In Gan Eden, you'll be crying. In Gan Eden, you'll be crying. Because you got the Gan Eden, Baruch Hashem, you did tshuva. But you'll be crying in Gan Eden. Why? I could have gone to a higher level of Gan Eden with an extra $1. $1 could have got you a higher level of Gan Eden. But I gave it to NRA. I gave it to Save the Dolphin. I gave it to a Hanukkah party. I gave it to IDF. I gave it to, make better glasses in the world. I gave it to the Hat Foundation. I gave it to the local museum. I gave it to a Sefer Torah even. Instead of to save the Sefer Torah, I gave it to a Sefer Torah. Instead of to save the living Torah, which is every Jewish neshama, I gave it to write another scroll. We already have Baruch Hashem. So that's the thing. Should you? You have to make your decision based on that. But in reality, every person that knows the value of a Jewish neshama will tell you you're crazy. But most people don't know this. So that's why, Rabotai, it's important for us to know this. It's important for us to understand that it's pikuach nefesh. We are at life risk. Am Yisrael is at life risk. All of us are at life risk. The way to remove ourselves from life risk is, number one, start by doing tshuva, and two, by getting other people to do tshuva. Because doing tshuva is good, but part of our tshuva is getting other people to do tshuva. You had another question? Hold on, you had another question. Follow up?
Yeah. My question is like this. So basically, they say that God is with you.
Ken?
Obviously, you don't see it, but you feel it because when things start to get difficult.
Ken?
So everything good is not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be difficult.
Yes or no?
Now,
Okay.
Well, that's what I want to know.
Okay.
Is that-
That's the question. Okay. So you're asking me, this is a whole shiur, but I'll try to keep it in 5 minutes because I'm sure you guys have other questions. Okay. So what is Emunah? A lot of people like to teach Emunah. Okay? A lot of people like to teach Emunah. There's organizations that are called Emunah. There are books called Emunah. But based on my learning, which comes from people that are, Baruch Hashem, very, very learned. B'ezrat Hashem, we're actually trying to do some big things with these people. I know a lot more Torah than I could ever imagine. And based on the double checking, because I don't believe anyone, what's in the books, what our sages say, the reality is most people do not know what Emunah is. You can learn Emunah for 20 years and still not know what it is. In simple way, what is Emunah? Now, life is difficult for everyone. There's not a person on earth that ever lived who did not have a difficult life. The righteous and the wicked. Everyone has a difficult life. Why? That's life. Life is difficult. If it's not difficult, that's because you're dead. If you're alive, it's difficult. It must be difficult. They're all different types of difficulties, though. Some have the life of Job, Hashem Erachem, it's Gehenom in this world. Some have a life that's not necessary, but still difficult. Some people have financial difficulties. Some people have drug difficulties, dependencies, self-confidence issues, sexual issues, money issues, all types of diseases, relationships, so on and so forth. And at different chapters of your life, you'll have different difficulties. When you were a kid, your number one problem is that maybe not enough people liked you, or you didn't get good grades. Then you moved on, and your biggest problem was that you had, zits in your face. You thought that the world was going to end because you had one extra zit. You had 37 already, you were used to, now you had 38, Shem Rachem, I want to die. And then you moved on a little bit longer and you became a teenager. I'm going to do? I'm going to get a job. I have no experience. I have no knowledge. I don't know anything. Who's going to hire me? So then you thought you were going to be homeless. And then you experienced again, who's going to marry me now? Now you want to get married. Who's going to marry me? I'm fat. I'm skinny. I'm smart. I'm short. I'm this. I'm that. Then you have a problem with that. Then you get married and I'm going to have kids. She's not getting pregnant. He's not getting pregnant. No one's pregnant. Everybody's pregnant. Everybody's pregnant. What's going to happen? And then you get pregnant finally. And then you're like, what are you going to do with this kid now? I don't know how to be a parent. How do you be? There's no book how to be a parent. Like the book, by the time you finish the book, you have another kid already. I need the help now. What do? The kid's crying. It doesn't say. The book doesn't say, I'm reading the book. The kid's crying. I'm going to let the kid cry. I'm reading the book. You have to already know before you have the kid. And then in reality, the book is just theoretical. You have real practice. And then you can't wait until the kid leaves the house. He's here, he's just born, but you want him already to graduate his job and get married already. He's only 3 months old, misken. You have difficulty with that because you don't want to change the diaper. And you want to have your own life. And so you understand? Difficulty after difficulty. It never ends. And how you feed this kid, the moment you understand love is only after you have children. Why? Because the first time in your life, you care about somebody else's life. You can say you love your spouse a lot, your wife, your husband, and so on and so forth, but in reality, you don't really care if they live or die. I'm not saying you don't love them, but you don't care whether they live or die like you do a son or a daughter. How do I know? I know from experience. I love my wife, I think, more than anyone else in the world loves their wife. I think that. You could disagree, we have a machloket. But the reality is, Rabotai, I know that as soon as I had my first child, it was the first time in my life that I understood what Shlomo HaMelech said. Shlomo HaMelech said, you only understand love after you have children. Why? For the first time in my life, I kept looking into the crib and saying, is he breathing? Is she breathing? Are they breathing? Like, for the first time, I actually checked if another human being was alive. Not that if they're happy, or they're content, or they're sick, or they're not. Just simply alive. You don't care, like, you don't think about things like this until you have kids. You don't think about it. You don't think, oh, is my mom alive? You don't think like that. Is my husband alive? He's there. He's probably alive. Oh, no, kick him if he's not. The point is, Rabotai, is that the reality is you only start understanding the value of life once you have a child. So now, you have a kid. You have a kid. Start worrying about this kid's life. He, she, they, whatever it is. Start worrying about their life. How are they going to... They're going to keep eating? So feed them. They're hungry. They're not hungry. And so on and so forth. Now you have new problems. Then they grow up. You want to get into school. Then how are you going to afford this? I only make $500 a week. How am I going to afford $500 a month in yeshiva? And they grow up. And I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do this. And somehow we survive. But we survive through suffering. And eventually, there's the end. Now, this whole synopsis happens in everyone's life. Different people, different times of their lives, but it happens in everybody's life. Everybody has stresses of money, relationships, death, disease, and so on and so forth. What does this have to do with Emunah? Emunah, they tell you, is believing that everything is going to be fine. Emunah, they tell you, is that everything is going to be fine. But that's not true. That's bitachon. That's confidence. Confidence that Hashem is going to take care of everything. Emunah is that when everything is dark, the cave is as dark as can be. There's no light, there's no sun, there's not even a moon or a reflection of a moon. It's dark as can be. Money's lost, kids are not born, this died, this born, this, everything is upside down. And all you can see is darkness, and you know that the darkness is Hashem. Not that after the darkness Hashem will come. That the darkness itself, that's Hashem. That's Emunah. When all you can see is darkness and you still have Hashem, that's Emunah. And that's what David HaMelech says. Shiftecha u'mish'antecha emayech nachamuni. Your stick and your staff, those will bring my salvation, will comfort me. Why? Because I know that the stick is the staff. The stick is what you're using to direct me. The darkness, that's to direct me. The darkness is you, Hashem. It's not someone else. There's no power outside of God, chas v'shalom. There's no, like people think, oh no, if it's bad, that's the Yetzirah, that's the Satan, and if it's good, it's Hashem. Chas v'shalom, that's avodah zarah. That's avodah zarah. The darkness, that's Hashem. The light, that's Hashem. Everything's Hashem. The Holocaust is Hashem. The Bet HaMikdash, that's Hashem. That's Emunah. Emunah is seeing darkness and knowing, that's from Hashem. Shtabach Shimolah, that's Hashem. That's Hashem. That's Emunah. If you have that, you have everything. You have that, you have everything. And that, Rabotai, is the shortest shiur I can give you about Emunah. Next question. You have a question.
Yeah, isn't it hard to believe that in the time of Moshe, that people would be lacking in Emunah if they actually saw the miracles and if they actually knew that Moshe was the highest prophet leading them? Why would they even lack?
Well, at the time that we were in Egypt, we still haven't seen all of the miracles. We saw some of the miracles. We didn't see Mount Sinai miracles. We saw some of the miracles. That's the number one. Second thing is that when a person has a free will, or will, that they could always choose right and wrong. Always choose right and wrong. So that's why the Torah says, "Akol midei shamayim chutz mirat shamayim." Everything is from heaven except the fear of heaven. Now, Or Israel, Rabbi Israel Misalant, explains that a human being is naturally afraid of everything. He's afraid of bugs. He's afraid of poverty. He's afraid of getting commitment. He's afraid of everything except God. Naturally, he's afraid of everything. Now, the people that you see jumping out of a plane, they just overcame that fear. naturally, a person is afraid of heights. Why? Because it's dangerous. A person that took a very big risk on an investment just overcame the fear of losing money. He's not superhuman. He just overcame the fear. Because naturally, people are afraid to lose. And so on and so forth. So people that take risks just overcame that fear. But naturally, they were afraid. You are afraid. Everyone's afraid of everything. Hashem created us with an inborn fear of everything, except Him. Why? If we were afraid of Him, naturally, there would be no purpose to the world. Because none of us would ever sin. None of us would ever sin. If we're afraid of Hashem really, we'd never go against Him, because we'd realize He's mightier than might. He's the greater of great. He's the there's no end to Him. Everything depends on Him. Chas v'shalom, I go against Him? If I'm really afraid of Him, how could I go against Him? Well, I have to be psycho. You have to be psychopath. Then you're patur anyway. Then you're anus. You don't have to do it. You're crazy. If you're really afraid of Hashem, how are you going to sin? But if that was the case, if you had a natural fear of Hashem, there would be no purpose of this world. So Or Israel explains, the Rabbi Israel Misalant explains, that Yirat Shamayim is the only fear that you could attain intellectually. Everything else you already have naturally. Fear of heights, fear of risk, fear of this, fear of everything else you have naturally. It's an instinct. But fear of Him can only be attained intellectually. You have to work on it. Why? Because now you have a choice. That is your free choice. That is your free choice. That's what it means when Chazal says, "Akol midei shamayim chutz mirat shamayim." Everything is from heaven except the fear of heaven. That is the free choice. That fear is the free choice. Fearing Him is a free choice. You could acquire it by working on yourself, learning Mussar, learning about the punishment, learning the consequences, learning everything to acquire this fear, or you could choose not to learn it. That's your choice. Everything else is from Him. The reward, the punishment, tall, short, black, white, rich, poor, married, single, kids, no kids, everything else is from Him. Fearing Him that's your free choice. That is what you have. So that's why Am Yisrael had a choice even at Mount Sinai. Even at Mount Sinai, when they actually, after they saw all of the miracles, not when you said in Egypt, because they haven't seen all the miracles yet, they saw some of them. In Mount Sinai, they saw all the miracles and they still sinned. Why? Because they still had free choice. They still had to acquire that Yirat Shamayim. Still had to acquire that Yirat Shamayim, and that's a choice. Now, I've told you guys the truth, Baruch Hashem, for the last 4 years. I don't think anyone ever caught me lying because I never lied. And if any time I ever made a mistake, it was a mistake. It wasn't intentional. Does everybody here listen to every single thing that I say? No. Does everybody here listen? Hashem lied to you once? Did you ever catch Hashem lying to you? Anyone with 5 books of Moses, and they have another 19 books that's comprised of Tanakh. Anyone here ever catch Hashem lying once? Do you listen to Him? Everything He says? Everything He says? No, right? Why? He's not lying. See, that's the choice. That's the choice we have. What choice? I bring you the truth that He told me, that He's telling Am Yisrael, that He told you. Sometimes you listen, sometimes you don't. Why? You have a choice. But there's a reward and punishment for that choice eventually. So that's what people need to understand. So Am Yisrael had the same choice, no different. Even though they were rewarded and had the merit of seeing much more than us, they had a Yetzirah also bigger than us. Just like, for example, a person that is an eater. He likes to eat anything that's in front of him, pretty much. His Yetzirah is food. His Yetzirah is food. To me, it's not. My Yetzirah could be, anger. So if you brought a giant steak in front of both of us, before he's going to ask whether it's kosher or not, blessing, no blessing, he's on top of it, making sure everybody knows it's his steak. Me, on the other hand, I won't even look at it. It's not my Yetzirah. It's not my Yetzirah. Same concept here. Am Yisrael had it just as big as a Yetzirah, just as big as the greatness of Am Yisrael, Dora De'ah, the generation of knowledge that saw Hashem, saw Mamash, amazing things that we can't even explain. They saw him open the seven heavens, and a lot of things that are in the Midrashim that are above and beyond our imagination even. What they saw, still, just like that, they had a Yetzirah that was just as big. And one of the things that people ask all the time to follow up your question is, why did Hashem have to send him to Egypt in the first place? They didn't sin. They didn't sin. Now a lot of people are going to tell you the Pshat. Hashem's told Avraham Avinu, your children are going to go to Egypt, they're going to be slaves there, but why? Why are they slaves? Why do they have to be slaves? The Midrash Me'am Loez uses several sources for this, and it says the following. It says the real reason behind Am Yisrael going to Egypt and being slaves and being there and serving and being beat up and destroyed and killed and so on is because Am Yisrael was created as a Am Ksheolef, a stubborn people. What does it mean, a stubborn people? They were so much better than all of the other creations in their might, in their power, in their wisdom, in everything that was detestable to everyone else. They were unbearable. They were unbearable to everyone else. And in order to humble them, he had to send them to slavery. This is why the Gemara in Masechet Avodah Zarah specifically says Hashem found the number one character trait where he loves Am Yisrael more than ever when they're poor. Why? They're humble. When they're poor, they're humble. When they're rich, not so much. So all of these, Rabotai, all of the things that I tell you is in the Torah. B'ezrat Hashem, we listen to it. Next question.
Wait, what's going to be the purpose?
Hold.
What?
You cut him off. He's behind you. Yeah.
Sorry. Going back earlier, we said that we can just pick and choose. We have to, like, if you have a rabbi,
Ken.
follow a culture or something. Like,
Ken, you can't be Ashkenazi and Sephardi at the same time.
yeah. Now, with that said, let's say.
And you can't be any type of Ashkenazi or any type of Sephardi. You have to pick one.
Okay.
If you're Yemenite, you're that type of Sephardi. If you're Moroccan, you're that type of Sephardi. You have to pick one. You have to pick who your Gdolador is, and there's two rabbis in essence, minimum of two rabbis. One rabbi is your posek, who you go by as far as halacha. It'd be Rabbi if you're Sephardi or whatever it is. I actually have a rabbi that I know, big Talmid Chacham. He holds by the Rambam. Like, even though he respects all of the other Gdolei Hador, he's a Talmid Chacham, but he holds by the Rambam. Everything Rambam does, he does. Now, you can only do that if you know everything Rambam says, and you know it in your Talmid Chacham. You're at the level where you can accept what the Rambam says. And the reason why I say you have to know it, you have to be Talmid Chacham to accept the Rambam, is because you have to know how to apply Rambam's rules to today. You can't just say, I hold by the Rambam, because if you're just starting out, you don't know what the Rambam even said. You don't even know how to apply it. So that's why people hold on to the more modern poskim from recent history, like Reuven or the others, that are, because they modernized and applied the laws from a couple of thousand years ago to today. It's not that they changed the law. They just told you how to apply this to here. How to apply this to here. How to apply this to here. So you have to pick one posek and one living rabbi. One living rabbi that you counsel with, that you listen to, that you learn from, that knows who you really are, not who everybody thinks you are. That you tell, the truth. And this is not a friend. This rabbi is not a friend. This rabbi is a rabbi. And that rabbi, the Gemara says, you have to fear him like you fear God. The problem today is that I see that a lot of rabbis, especially in the modern Orthodox world, and even in the others, is that a lot of the relationships that people have with their rabbis is friend relationships. They're friendly with them. They give them high fives. They go to play basketball with them. They're friends with them. Between you and me, I don't listen to my friends. Not all the time, at least. So the reality is that if a rabbi wants to be a friend, then he should help the guy, by being a friend, he should help him find a rabbi. Be a friend. Help him find a rabbi. Be a friend. Help him find a rabbi.
Follow up. So with that said, when one can't use, let's say, like a siddur from like Ashkenazi or Sephardi, you have to like pick one, but you cannot, because they have different customs and all.
I understand what you're saying. So, in the English-speaking world, the Ashkenazi world is much more advanced and much more organized than the Sephardi world, in the English-speaking world. In Hebrew, it's about the same. Now, so which means that a lot of the translations that you'll find for Sidurim and in general for Torah are coming from the Ashkenazi world. There's nothing wrong with it. And you can use it especially for limud, for learning. But when it comes to praying, if you're Sephardi, you have to pray from a Sephardi Siddur. You can't pray from an Ashkenazi Siddur because there are, in some cases, small changes, in some cases, big changes. You're not going to be able to follow along. So you have to get a Sephardi Siddur. Baruch Hashem, there are some that are Sephardi with the translation and transliteration. It's not as many as Ashkenazi, but there are some. There are some. So Baruch Hashem, Hashem made it easy enough that we have maybe not as much choice as Sephardi as you do as Ashkenazi, but they do exist. If you need choices of Sidurim, I can give you. I've sent it to people many times. The Siddur with both a translation and transliteration, which teaches you how to speak the Hebrew language as well. But yes, if you're choosing if you're born into or as a convert, you're choosing Sephardi, you have to stay by Sephardi Siddur, Sephardi Minagim, and so on. If it's a woman that was born into a Sephardi house or Ashkenazi house, once she gets married, she takes on whatever her husband is. Meaning, if you're a Sephardi woman and you marry Ashkenazi, Be'ezrat Hashem, you have a nice wedding. But once you actually, day one after the wedding, you are now taking on Ashkenazi customs. Meaning, on Pesach, you can't eat rice. And so on, and all the other, obviously there's many more customs of the Ashkenazi. I just know that one off the top of my head. I think is a big deal for a lot of Sephardi people because they like food. But the point is that, no, they do. We like food. Am Yisrael likes food. Like she said, the first question that started this shiur, we like food. It's true. So the point is that you have to understand that this is you cannot be Sephardic and your husband Ashkenazi. You hold to your rabbi, he holds to that rabbi. It's not allowed. Wife picks the rabbi's the husband's side. Now the feminist of the world is like, oh, why does he pick the husband's side? Because that's the way the custom is. Why can't he pick the wife's side? Because that's not the way the custom is. If you don't like it, marry the same kind. If you want to stay where you are, so marry the same way you are. If you want to stay Ashkenazi, marry Ashkenazi guy. What do you want for my life? I didn't make the customs. Go marry an Ashkenazi guy.
Yeah, but are there many feminists in the Jewish world?
Many, unfortunately.
Religious?
Even religious, but But the point is, Rabotai, is that I actually have a few students that used to be feminists until they came to my shiurim. And Baruch Hashem, they did tshuva. One of them, Baruch Hashem, I'll tell you two stories. Or one story. You guys got too many stories today. It's to discount. One story, I got a woman, Baruch Hashem, that she lived in Sodom and Gomorrah, a.k.a. San Francisco. And she came from a family where they weren't religious. She came from a family that were anti-Torah. Like the type of family that when she said she was starting to do tshuva, they started like praying that she doesn't do tshuva. Anyway, God bless her, she started watching the shiurim. She started realizing there's a significance here. Now the only problem is that she was supposed to marry a guy that was worth $100 million. But he wasn't Jewish. Now the wedding was already set. It wasn't like theoretical wedding. Wedding was already set. Wedding dresses bought. Wedding day. She's about to get married to a non-Jew. But now she realized the truth. She can't do it. Her parents, her grandparents, everybody else, go marry Baruch Hashem, Baruch whatever, Baruch the cat, Baruch the dog. The guy's got enough money to burn. She realized there's a problem. She did something most of us would not be able to do. You know what she did? She didn't go to the wedding. She didn't go to the wedding. She left. She did tshuva. She left the guy, never talked to him again, and started doing tshuva. She gave up on a life of rich and fame. For who? For Hashem. After she learned the truth. What did Hashem reward her with? Baruch Hashem, she decided to go to Israel, to go check it out, to go learn a little bit more Torah on top of what we were teaching. Hashem made it so that I knew somebody that needed a zivug, and we made the connection. We introduced her to this guy. They went out for a little bit, little ups and downs in the beginning because she's adjusting, he's from birth. A little bit of acclamation, Baruch Hashem. They're married happily and excitedly. Baruch Hashem. But this is mesirut nefesh. This is self-sacrifice. Most of us, I think all of us, would not be able to do it. So that's the reality. But she told me she used to be against the Torah. Why? That's the way she was brought up. She was brought up to believe that the Torah is anti-women. I had another woman that also was a hardcore feminist. Hardcore feminist, after she started realizing how much the Torah loves women and how it's completely unnecessary and anti-Torah to be a feminist. And you should be proud of what you are and not try to pretend like you're something else. She did tshuva, and Baruch Hashem, she's tzadikah, kdosha, with everything, and Baruch Hashem, husband, child, life, happiness, fulfillment, everything, nothing's missing, and doesn't miss even an ounce of her past life. For the first time in her life, she's actually happy. And there's many, many stories like this, Rabotai. The thing is, though, is that people try to add their own mindset, their own opinions to the Torah, to life, to so on. And the reality is that by doing that, you're assuming that you have a better idea than God. You don't. So, the Torah is perfect. If there's something missing in your life, it's because you don't know something. It's not because the Torah is missing something. You had another question, go ahead.
Yeah, what's going to be the purpose then, when Mashiach comes, when you said before that if we all just did the right thing, there'd be no purpose to the world.
Right.
Or if we feared God 24/7, there'd be no purpose for the world.
Right.
So when Mashiach comes, what's going to be the purpose?
Well, once the Mashiach comes, the world changes its purpose. The world changes its purpose. The worlds that were created before this world, and this world included, each had its purpose. The ultimate purpose was to serve Hashem. Ultimate purpose is to serve Hashem. Really, the only purpose is to serve Hashem. The Gemara in Masechet Chagigah says, if a person did not find a way to sanctify Hashem's name, he did not fulfill his purpose, it was better off that he was never born. Why? There's no point of him. So now, once the culmination of all the worlds happens, and the Mashiach arrives, the world changes a purpose. Up to then, we have to do tshuva. That's our purpose. That's why you see all of the prophets, from Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, Aaron, all the way to Ezekiel, all the way to the last prophets, all the way to the end of the prophets, all of them say the same message. What's the message? Do tshuva, Am Yisrael. Do tshuva. Shuvu banai. Shuvu banim. Return to me, Hashem says. Return to me. That's the purpose, to do tshuva. Born religious, born atheist, born a cat, born a dog, born a whatever you are, you have to do tshuva. Everybody has to do tshuva. So now, first purpose is do tshuva. Once the Mashiach comes, the purpose changes. Because now, Mashiach has to do his business, which is save the righteous, destroy the wicked, resurrection of the dead, the rebuilding of the Bet HaMikdash. And now at that point, we have to simply enjoy the Shekhinah. Enjoy the Shekhinah, enjoy Hashem. Learn Torah. But it's not the same type of Torah. It's not the same life. It's not the same rules. Everything changes. Everything is magnified. But there's no Yetzirah anymore. There's no evil inclination. Meaning you don't have an opportunity or even an inclination or a desire to go against Hashem, because that evil inclination is eliminated. At that point is pure reward. Once the Mashiach arrives, we've survived and so on, At that point, the reward begins. The world completes the 7,000 year, or the 6,000 year, up to year 7,000. And then after that, we leave this world. This world is destroyed. And we go to Olam Haba, the spiritual Olam Haba, and then we enjoy the Shekhinah even further. Even further. And then after that, eventually we all become part of Hashem. Many, 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 many times later. I don't know how to quantify it in time. The point is, Rabotai, is that the purpose of the world changes at that point, because the reason the Chachamim say, why did Hashem even create this world? The first pshat, the first basic reason is good creates good. Good wants to create good. But the reality is that he could have just created Gan Eden. Good wanted to create good, just create Gan Eden. For us, we'd enjoy it. What's the problem with just creating Gan Eden? Why do we have to create this world? Why do we have to create Gehinom? Why is there punishment? Why is there suffering? Why is there a Holocaust, a Inquisition, a IRS audit? Why is all this stuff? It says because originally when Hashem created the souls benefited so much that they couldn't take it anymore. They started suffering. They started suffering from getting so much good and feeling that they don't deserve it. Now we are used to getting everything for free, and we're used to getting stuff all the time, and we want stuff for all the time. But the reality is every normal human being eventually gets sick of getting and wants to start giving. Every normal human being gets sick of getting and wants to start giving. The way to become happy, by the way, the secret to happiness is by giving, not by getting. You can get a new car every day. Eventually, the car is going to make you sick. If you like, let's say, for example, if your favorite food is steak, if you ate steak, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, after a week, you don't like it anymore. After 2 weeks, it makes you sick. After 3 weeks, you get sick from just the word steak. Even though originally you loved it, if you have a lot of it, eventually you don't like it. But what do you never get sick of? You never get sick of giving. Every time you give somebody something they need, not something you want to give them, but something they need, there's a certain sense of joy that's irreplaceable. That's why the truth behind happiness is by giving, not by taking. That's why if you want shlom bayit, give her, give him. Don't wait for them to give you back. It's not a business deal. You want a happy wife? Give her whatever she wants. You want a happy husband? Give him whatever he wants. That's good for the marriage and healthy, obviously. Not if she wants a second husband or he wants a second wife. Like if they want good things that are healthy. So the point, I don't want anybody to, people that always take my words to Gehinom all the time, so I have to explain things very literally.
Well, King David had a lot of wives.
He's a king. He had a rule. He was allowed 18 wives. He's a king. If you become a king, you're allowed 18 wives also. Until then, you're allowed only one wife. Shlomo Melech had 1,000 wives, and at the end of his book, it says that what he did was not favorable in the eyes of Hashem, and the Gemara specifically says it was better off that Shlomo was a drunk his entire life, a drunk that no one ever heard of his entire life, than that verse be written about him in the Torah. Why? Because that verse is taught for eternity, that what he did was not favorable in the eyes of Hashem. It's better off to not even be Shlomo Melech, not even be righteous, not even be known at all, just to be drunk his whole life, than that verse be written about him. Why? Because he thought that he would not fail like everyone else, because he was smarter than everyone else. So he said, the 18 wives limitation is for everyone else. The few horses limitation is for everyone else. Not for me. I was given the wisdom of Leavdil, but one level below God. So it's not for me. Hashem says, no, it's for you too. So, Rabotai, the things that we only like because we have a limitation of how much we can get them. If you see a lot of these superstars, these movie stars, these models, these celebrities, usually they get married like 5, 6, 7 times just to get started in their 20s. By the time they're 40s, they're already going to the second dozen. And the reason why is because their whole life is made up of physicality, of physical aspect of it. And when you have too much physical, it becomes disgusting. So everyone knows that even the most beautiful woman in the world, there's some guy that can't stand her. Even the nicest guy in the world, there's some woman that can't stand him. Because the physical aspect is something that's, if we have too much of it, it's disgusting. Shlomo Melech says, Dvash matzata echol dayeka. ken tizbe'ena v'tekiato. Shlomo HaMelech says, if you found honey, eat a little bit. Because if you eat too much, you'll throw up, you'll vomit. You'll vomit. And Chazal says he's not talking about really dvash, really honey. What is he talking about? He's talking about sexuality. If you found honey, you found a woman, limit the amount of times of how often you're with her. Why? If you do it too much, eventually you're going to be disgusted by her. And she'll be disgusted by you. This is from the wisest man of all time that had 1,000 wives. Understand? So now, the souls got only good from Hashem. They got steak. They got dinner. They got vacation. They got everything that you could possibly want, obviously spiritually speaking. But eventually they said, we're getting. For what? What do we deserve? What do we do to deserve all this good? And it started making them feel bad. They said, Hashem, great, everything is good that we're getting, but we don't deserve it. It's just the soul is so pure. It's not like us that we just want. It wants to give. But we can't. What are we going to give Hashem? Give him a lotto card. We're going to give him a new office, an office chair, a new computer. We're going to give Hashem. We don't deserve it. The souls were saying to Hashem, what is it like? It's like somebody, you had a rich friend invited you to their house. He said, listen, from now on, anything you need, somebody's going to take care of you. So you wake up in the morning, there's a little butler waiting by you, putting the shoes on. Okay, it's cool, it's fun. First day. Then you go in the shower and you have another, butler is watching you. It's not so comfortable, but okay, fine, I'll get used to this. Then you want to eat something, already it's served for you. You have every single meal in the world, whatever you don't eat goes into the garbage. And then after that, you want to turn on the TV, somebody already turned it on for you. Because you still haven't done tshuva, you watch TV. And then you want to learn Torah, somebody says, I already learned for you. You don't do tshuva, so somebody learned for you already. And everything somebody's doing for you, somebody's doing for you. Eventually you're like, you know what? I got to do something. Okay, first day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Okay, eventually it's like, okay, I got to do something. You know what? Let me throw out the garbage. Do something at least. Do something, contribute. If you don't feel a sense of contribution, that you don't need to contribute, that either you're Amalek or you're not human. It's one of the two. Every person needs to have a sense of needing to contribute. You need to contribute. If you don't feel a sense of contribution, you have a problem. You have a serious personality default. So, a flaw. So now, the souls felt that they cannot contribute anything to Hashem other than deserving what they're getting. And therefore, they requested that Hashem give them the test. What's the test? This world. Let us deserve Olam Haba. Let us deserve to enjoy the Shekhinah. How do we deserve? Look how many tests we had to overcome. Money problems, marriage problems, kids problems, cancer problems, this problem, that problem. No end of problems. And then 1 gilgul, 2nd gilgul, 3 gilgul, because you didn't finish the first time sometimes. 3, 4, all of us, we're here already, who knows how many times. We're here since Mount Sinai. What do you think, it's the first time you're here? We're all the biggest losers in history. We're here. We failed more than any other generation before us. But, Baruch Hashem, we're given another chance. We're given another chance. Don't mess it up. It's the last chance. So that's why the soul originally, you asked for it. You go up to Shemayim and say, no, Hashem, why? I didn't ask you to put me into this world. He said, what? Let me show you the original movie. Come, let me show you. He's going to show you the souls. Look, you asked for it. You asked to come down as Betzalel. You asked to come down as Don. You asked to come down as Mike. You asked to come down as this. You asked to come down as that. No, you got it. Go ahead.
2 quick questions.
No? Same price.
Oh, same price. You said 6,000 is going to hit 6,000 years. Then Mashiach is going to come?
No, that's not what I said. I said that the natural world has a maximum of 6,000 years.
So we're almost there.
We're 5778.
222 years.
Now, the natural world has a maximum, meaning that the Mashiach has to come before 6,000. Not at 6,000. He has to come before 6,000. Once he comes, then the Olam Haba version of this world begins, up to 7,000. And then after that, the next Olam Haba begins. Now, there's also, I don't know if I remember telling you or not, there is Gan Eden here and there's Gan Eden up there. There's 2 Gan Edens. There's Gehenom here, there's Gehenom up there. There's 2 Gehenoms. Okay? There's Olam Haba here, there's Olam Haba there. There's many, many worlds within the world. It's not just a single world. It's not one-dimensional like we see. There's a lot more to the world. So usually the people that understand the spiritual aspect of some of the things, the mystical things that I talk about, very rarely, because I try to keep it like basic level, ABC for everybody, because that's what applies to everybody. The people that usually understand some of the extra, special effects that I add sometimes about the spiritual aspects are usually people that see stuff that are supernatural. Because it's very hard to understand supernatural without seeing it. Because it's beyond our comprehension. So, generally, the only thing you need to know is that the world is not what you see. There's more to the eye. There's more than what the eye sees. That's the basics of what you need to know. Yeah, second.
So you're saying that it's gonna come. We're almost there. And
200 years is a long time.
Right, so we're going to wait another 200 years?
No. So the Mashiach can come, so the Sfarim HaKadoshim say, the Mashiach can come before Shabbat. So the sages explain, what does this mean? What does it mean before Shabbat? What does that mean, that he could only come 6 days a week? No. The book of Psalms says that a day in the eyes of Hashem is 1,000 years for us. A day in the eyes of Hashem, even though he has no limitation of time and no concept of time, he's above time, he's not subject to time, David HaMelech explains things relatively speaking, so we understand. Just like Hashem took us out of Egypt with a strong arm, he doesn't have an arm, but we explain things that we can understand, humans can understand. So 1,000 years to us is a single day to him. So the sages from there explain that the Mashiach has to come before Shabbat. Before Shabbat. So if every 1,000 years is a full day, that means the first 1,000 is Sunday, Yom Rishon. Second 1,000, Sheni. Third 1,000, Shlishi. Revi'i, Chamishi. We finished 5 days, 5,000 years, and 778, which is 3/4. 750 is 3/4 of a day. So what's 3/4 of 24 hours? What's 3/4 of 24 hours? No?
17?
3/4. Okay, you have 4/4 and 24. That's 6, 6, 6, 6. So that's 18. What's 18 in time? 6 p.m. 6 p.m. 1,800 hours. If you look at a 24-hour system. Yeah. 24 hours. If there's 24 hours, first 6 a.m., 0, that's midnight. Starts the day, 1 a.m., okay? So 6 hours, 6 a.m. Another 6 hours, 12 in the afternoon. Another 6 hours, 6 p.m. So that's 18. That's 3/4 of a day. But then that's 750. That's 750. Then it's 5778, meaning it's not 750. It's 750 plus 28. Now, how much is a single day, hour? Exactly 41 years. 41 years. So 28 is more than half. More than half. So in essence, the average time of where we're at right now is somewhere around 7 o'clock. Somewhere around 7 o'clock, 7:15. Now, Shabbat, that's already Friday, 7 p.m. Friday, 7 p.m. Now, even if we go by the late times of when Shabbat starts, it says the Chazal says, the sages say that the Mashiach is going to come before Shabbat, not on Shabbat. Waiting already for the 6,000, that's already Shabbat. It's already the end of Friday. It's already Shabbat already. Chazal says he's going to come before Shabbat. So we are now about 7 p.m. Friday. So even if you calculate it as if a Shabbat starts late, starts at 8. So how much do we have? Another 12 years, another 15 years.
You're saying Mashiach could come with another 15
Any day. We're there in essence. Again, he could also use the counting of France, which Shabbat starts over at 9. But the point is, Rabotai, is that either way it's in our lifetime, natural lifetime. It's in our lifetime. It could be this, it could be tomorrow, it could be in 20 years from now. I'm hoping it's going to take a little longer because we have to get more people to do tshuva. But the point is, Rabotai, is that it's before Shabbat. It's so. Now, we're not allowed to specifically put a time on it. And all of the people that have tried have made, number one, a very big sin, and two, a very big mistake. And the reason why we're not allowed to pinpoint a specific time, and I very, very rarely tell what I just told you now, is because people are going to start doing accounting. Oh, it can't be 5 years from now. It's going to be 15. It can't be 15. It's going to be 21. No, it can't be 21. It's going to be 13. It's going to be 12. Everybody's going to have their own accounting of when Mashiach must come. These are just likelihoods of when it's supposed to come, not for sure. Likelihood of when it's supposed to come. Just like the sages say, it's more likely that he could come right after Pesach. It's more likely that he could come on Shavuot. It's more likely that he could come on specific times of the year. It's not guaranteed that he's going to come on Pesach or Shavuot. There are just likelier times. There are likelier times of when Mashiach can happen. It's not that it's the only time. It's just a more likely time. And that's what people don't understand. People pinpoint a specific time, and a specific person, and a specific day, and that's a mistake. And the reason why the sages say that's a mistake is because when someone builds themselves up, and their whole tshuva is built on that specific day, and it doesn't happen, their entire tshuva breaks to nothing. I already know a few people that broke because they heard some rabbi that said that the Mashiach is supposed to come last year, or at least they understood from this rabbi that Mashiach is supposed to come last year, and unfortunately Mashiach did not come. And those people, you know what they did? Nobody knows. They went back to being chilonim. They went back to being secular, they dropped everything, and they became chilonim again. So it's an outright sin to pinpoint a specific time of when Mashiach is going to come. Either way, I tell everyone the same thing. It doesn't matter when he's going to come. And the reason why is because your personal Mashiach, my personal Mashiach, can arrive any day. It's called death. Everybody does it. They like it or they don't like it. When we die, we still have to go to the same Bet Din. The Bet Din in Shamayim will show you, you're a thief, pay. You're a womanizer, pay. You're a liar, pay. You mechalel Shabbat, pay. You did tshuva, you get paid. So it doesn't matter, Mashiach, no Mashiach, we have to do tshuva anyway. The purpose is the same anyway. As a matter of fact, death can happen faster. Who can tell me for sure, guaranteed, willing to bet their life they're going to make it home tonight? Now I can tell you you're going to get home tonight because you're on the way to mitzvah. So they say in the Torah, someone's on the way to mitzvah doesn't get hurt on the mitzvah. But the reality is we're not promised tomorrow. That's why we always have to do mitzvot. Go on a trip, put $1 in the box, or $10, or $1,000, or $1 million, whatever you have extra, or not extra. Put it in tzedakah, and also promise to give more tzedakah, or do another mitzvah when you come back. Why? Because now you're on a journey of doing the mitzvah at all times. Go ahead.
How can you tell what you were in the past? I mean, that's very interesting to me.
How can you tell what you were in the past? What difference does it make to you?
No, but
If I told you you were a tuki,
What is that?
a parrot.
No, but listen, you said.
Somebody told me
recently.
recently.
Get a bird like that. Do it
Somebody told me recently that he thinks that I was a cow in my previous life and I was a korban. Somebody told me that he thinks that I was a cow that was brought to the Bet HaMikdash as a korban. Baruch Hashem. How did he come to that conclusion? He said, by my face. My beard looks like a cow's beard. My beard looks like a cow's beard. What a nice compliment, Baruch Hashem. It's very good for my ego. Baruch Hashem. Very good for my ego.
You said that Moses came from Abraham, right?
No, Moses, Gilgul, according to the Sfarim HaKadoshim, Noach.
Okay.
And Noach came from Abel.
So Moses
So how can I know?
Huh?
You keep saying that we're from first Bet HaMikdash people.
We are from Mount Sinai.
I get it,
Ken.
but how do you?
How do I know who I was? You were pushing me at Mount Sinai. You don't remember?
Listen, when I meet you up there, hopefully, in the right side.
You were pushing me. You were looking, no, Moshe, Amri, I know. You're pushing me. Go ahead.
Does that say
No, but
that-
how
do
I'm
you still
going to
get
know?
No, go ahead.
Do
No.
you still get judged, like, after Mashiach comes and people die, they're still going to judge you up there?
100%. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you something scary. You guys want to get scared?
Right before sleep, why not?
Right before sleep, you want to get scared?
Why not?
For bedtime, that's true.
Okay.
You're already ready.
You sure?
Yes.
If you understand what I'm saying, you're going to get scared.
Easily.
If you understand what I'm saying, you'll get scared. If you're not scared, that means you don't understand what I'm saying. No, it's scary. If you understand what I'm saying, it's scary. It's no gooey stuff. No gooey stuff. No like ripping heads and eyes and stuff. None of that stuff. If you understand what I'm saying, it's scary. If you're not scared, that means you don't understand what I'm saying. So the Sfarim HaKadoshim, the holy books say there was a guy that made it to Gan Eden. Made it to Gan Eden. Oh Hashem, Tzaddik, Yesod Olam, everything is good. But the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah and Masechet Beitzah says that every year, judgment is all over again for everyone on Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, everyone gets judged. Everyone gets judged on Rosh Hashanah. How much parnasah are you going to get? Disease, health, children, life, death, and so on and so forth. But not just the people of this world, the people that left this world. What did you leave behind? If you wrote a Sefer Torah, if you wrote a Gemara, if you wrote a holy book to get people to do tshuva, if you did lectures and you left them online and people learning it, if you did good things, people that benefited from it and did tshuva did mitzvot from those things that you left in this world, all those merits have to be paid to you. If you left avodah zarah in this world, you invented the wig, Hashem Erachem. You invented the kosher wigs. You invented some other type of avodah zarah. You stole money from people like Bernie Madoff. You destroyed people's lives in one way or another. Hashem Erachem, what happens to you? Why? Every year there's more sins being made. More sins being made of what you left behind. That judgment goes to you. The judgment goes to you.
What if
So
Bernie Madoff is being punished here in this world?
No chance in the world that he's even getting 1% of punishment of what he was going to get. That's easy. That's easy. So now, there was one guy, you guys are sure you want this. Okay, there was one guy that Rabbi Yehuda saw him in a dibuk. Dibuk is when one soul from the other world comes and connects to a soul in this world, meaning a body in this world takes over. And he starts talking to him. He says, "Who are you? Where are you?" And gets information from him. He says, "I am in Kafakela, and I've been here for 15 years." He goes, "Why are you in Kafakela? Why are you in Kafakela?" He says, "I only had one sin. Tzaddik. He only had one sin. One sin he had. What's the sin? I went with a married woman." So Rabbi Yehuda alav shalom says, "Okay, listen, it's a horrible, horrible sin. No discounts here. But there's something unusual about what you're telling me. You're telling me you're in Kafakela for 15 years, but when I ask you how long you're going to be there, you said you don't know. It's a rule of olam ha'emet, of the real world, to give you a din, to give you a judgment of how long is your reward, how long is your punishment, what's happening. You're telling me you don't know. What do you mean you don't know?" He says, "They didn't tell me." He goes, "What do you mean they didn't tell you?" He says, "There's a problem. I sinned with a married woman, but the married woman is still alive. She's still alive. Every single time our husband touches her finger, not even intimate, he touches her finger, it's a sin for me, I get more years in Kafakela. Every year there's a new accounting, there's more years added to my statement, Hashem Erachem. Every year there's more punishment. Why? Because she's still alive. My punishment is for that. But the problem is I'm still making sins. Why am I still making sins? I'm not alive. Because she's alive. As long as she's alive, that goes to my cheshbon." Now something scarier, since you guys got me all riled up, something scarier. One guy made it to Gan Eden. The way I started the story. One guy made it to Gan Eden, but on Rosh Hashanah, they said, "Listen, you made a lot of mitzvot, you got to Gan Eden, but now on Rosh Hashanah, we saw your accounting. Hashem says we have to bring him up to a different level, to a higher level. Got to bring him to a higher level. Problem is, in order to get to the higher level, he's missing a little bit to get to the higher level. Just a little bit. He needs a little bit more misirut nefesh, a little bit more suffering. He needs a little to get. You're at a Gan Eden, good, but there's a higher level of Gan Eden, better, amazing, tinted windows and everything, rims, hotel, whatever, Gan Eden. I can't even explain to you how good this other Gan Eden is. You can see over there, you can see how good it is. You say, I want to go there. It's like, okay, but you need a little more suffering. Okay, how would I? I'm not going to go back to the world. Shemechem. Because go to Gehinnom a little bit. Why? Because the soul has a little bit of taint on it. Your soul, every time, your soul is purity. Your soul is a piece of Hashem. So your soul, every time you make a sin, you make a mark on your neshama. You make a mark on your neshama. So to get the higher levels of Gan Eden, you have to remove these marks. You have to have a pure soul. So they said, you're in Gan Eden with the soul that you have now. To get to the highest one, you're almost there, but there's a little bit of smudge. The only way you're going to get rid of it is with suffering. There's two choices, this world or a little bit of Gehinnom a little bit. He chose to go to Gehinnom for a little bit. So he can get to Gan Eden. Meaning that the judgment, Rabotai, is never over. This is just to get in. You choose which way you want to get in. I'm trying to get to Gan Eden. They tell me it's better weather. So, the point is, Rabotai, is that the stuff is scary. It's scary. If you understand what I'm saying, it's funny, but it's scary. If it's only funny to you and not scary, then you don't understand what I mean, but that's okay also. It just means that we're not there yet. Either way, Rabotai, anyone that tells you otherwise is lying to you. There is no other truth. There's no second truth. There's no easier way to Gan Eden. There's no easier way to Gan Eden. It's against the Torah.
You still didn't answer my question.
What was the question?
I want to know.
Who you were in your previous life? I didn't become a Kabbalist over the last few years, but as far as who you were in the previous life, there's something called regression.
What is that?
Regression is a form of hypnotism, where people that actually know how to do it, there's a few in the world that know how to do it, that could actually bring you back to previous lives.
Even they say don't bother the dead.
But it's a very, very dangerous thing to do. It's a very dangerous thing to do. It's not something recommended for a few reasons. Number one, if they don't know what they're doing, you could permanently feel like you're the other person. So that means that now you go and you are you now. Okay, you speak English, you live in America, you have a wife, you have kids, you have this, you have that. Now, somebody that knows only the first part of the job brings you back 100 years. You go back to a previous life 100 years ago, and now all of a sudden you're speaking Dutch, and you're married to, to a cat, and your best friend is the dog that's chasing the cat, and you're about to go to war, and you feel like somebody's about to bomb you any moment. That's the life you live. I mean, some strange life, unusual imagination that I have. So the point is that you feel like you're there. Now, if he doesn't know how to bring you back, you have a problem. In your mind, you're there. Now, you don't know how to speak Dutch. You don't know how to speak Greek. You don't know how to speak French. You don't know how to speak anything. You're not connected to this person. But if he doesn't know how to bring you back, you're there. You just ruined your life. It's a very dangerous thing. Second thing is that if it was needed for you to know who you were in your previous life, it would be much easier and less dangerous. Third thing is, you don't really need to know who you were in your previous life. All you need to know is why you're here. And I can tell you why you're here. That I don't need to be a Kabbalist. I can tell you exactly why you're here. Each one of us has to do tshuva, but each one of us has a few specific things that are very, very difficult for us to do tshuva for. Very difficult for us. Some people, we tell them keep Shabbat, they keep Shabbat in one day. Some people, we tell them to be honest, they sell their dishonest business in one day. Some people, we tell them to keep Talat Mishpacha, they've already been keeping it without even knowing. Certain mitzvot for some of us are very, very easy. They come naturally, as if we've been waiting for somebody to tell us go. But sometimes there's certain mitzvot that we feel it's like a mountain. It's like Mount Everest. It's impossible for us. Whether it be anger or stinginess or arrogance or whatever it is for each and every single person. Some people it's watching their eyes. Some people it's not wasting seed. Some people it's, kids. Whatever. Different people, different things. I know one guy, his Yetzirah is married women. Shem Erechem, what kind of Yetzirah that is.
His Yetzirah is what?
His Yetzirah is he's very attracted to married women specifically.
Oh.
That's his Yetzirah. Baruch Hashem, he's doing tshuva for it. And heard good news about it, so he's doing tshuva, but nonetheless, that's his Yetzirah for years already. For years. Yetzirah, He likes specifically married women. It's a very, I mean, this is like, you know, like people have fetishes. Some people like feet. He likes married women. Some people like to have music on their phones. This guy likes married women. The point is, Rabotai, is that everybody has a Yetzirah. Why is he in this world? To do tshuva for that. At least for that. There's probably other things also, but that specific thing is very hard for him. So each one of us can look in the mirror and for sure name 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things that are very hard for us. That's why you're here. If it's hard for you to learn Torah, that's why you're here. If it's hard for you to watch your eyes, that's why you're here. If it's hard for you to give tzedakah, that's why you're here. If it's hard for you to, that's why you're here. No one can tell you otherwise. Why? Everything I just told you is in the Torah.
What if a person has a desire to murder?
He has a desire to murder, he should become a butcher. The Zohar Kadosh says that every single person has certain desires that they're inclined to do. Some people have a thirst for blood, and you can use that thirst and satiate it in multiple ways. Naturally, you could think a person that is a thirst for blood, without Torah, will become a murderer. Will become a murderer. In most cases, not all cases, obviously, but will become a murderer in most cases. Or he will become a butcher. Or he become a surgeon. Or he could even become something else that has to do with death or blood and so on. The point is that blood for thirst, that thirst for blood has to be satiated somewhere or another, and he has to satisfy it some way. He could work in a morgue. He could work in a hospice. He could do something connected to it. He could be a butcher, whatever. He could work with cattle, and so on and so forth. There's a lot of things you could do to satiate that thirst, because each and every single one of us was given that thirst for something. Some people for blood, some people for something else, and our thirst and our desires can be used for good and for bad. The Chazal say, there's a midrash that says that there was a king that heard about Moshe Rabbeinu, and he told his painters that he wanted a picture of him. He wanted a picture of Moshe Rabbeinu. So he sent them to the desert. They came back with a picture. Each one of them drew a picture. And then they showed it, and he showed his picture. He wanted to see if it's authentic or they're lying to him. So he showed this picture to his people that knew how to read faces. There are certain people that have skill set of how to read faces. They can tell you character traits of the human being based on your face. Actually, my Rav can tell you character traits based on your language or even your writing. Your writing, just the way you write, your handwriting, you could actually know character traits that a person has based on their handwriting. And there's different things that you can learn from the Torah that could teach you character traits of a person based on different actions that they have, facial expressions and so on. So anyway, it's a certain type of chokhmah. There's many, many chokhmot that the Torah has. It's not just the things that we learn in the shiur. There's much, much more. So anyway, the people drew. Then he showed it to the people that can read faces. He didn't tell them who it was. And the people that can read faces said, "Oh, this guy's a murderer. This guy's an angry person. This guy's evil. This guy is terrible. All the worst possible things a human can be." And he said, "You are all liars, and I'm going to kill you." Because he's not. This is Moshe Rabbeinu. Like, listen, we know how to read faces. That's what we do. And he said to the artist, "You are all liars. Because you probably didn't go to the desert. You just collected the money. You didn't go to the desert. You didn't draw. You probably made a deal among you to make a similar drawing. I'm going to kill all of you." He says, "No, Your Honor, we went to the desert. Look, we went 3, 4, 5. What, you think we're going to go there for 3 weeks? What do we get out of it? We drew it." He said, "The only way I can find out is if I go myself." He took all of them, both the people that could read faces and the people that drew the faces. He went to the desert. He went to Moshe Rabbeinu. He says, see, I'm going to kill the people that can read faces. Moshe Rabbeinu said to him, "Why?" Because they told me you're angry, you're evil, you're a murderer, you're this. And then the painters said, "No, it's the fault of the painters. It's the wrong face. But then I see the face is you. It's exactly like you. So obviously the other guys were lying." He goes, No. Moshe Rabbeinu told him, "No, it's both of them are right. The guys that painted me, you only need your eyes to see. The guys that told you my inclination, they're also right. Before Torah, I was a murderer. I was angry. I was terrible, and I did tshuva. The Torah softens you. The Torah softens you. If you think that Moshe Rabbeinu was born to be great, naturally never had to do tshuva, you're wrong. Every single person in the Torah had to do tshuva. Every single person. That's why tshuva is a dargah. It's greatness. You have to have the merit to do tshuva. It's not, he's about tshuva, he's about tshuva, he's about tshuva. Alvai be about tshuva. Alvai be about tshuva.
There's some guys that never sinned in the Torah. There's like 7 guys.
Four guys that never sin in the Torah, but that's specifically they were created that way, so you know that there's such a thing that actually exists, and not more is ever going to exist. There's no such thing as somebody that doesn't sin. And the only reason why they died is because of the original sin.
You know, I learned that Hava specifically wanted to eat the fruit because she wanted the world to be in a mess, and so that we can repair it. And the serpent just reinforced to her what she wanted, because they were intelligent. Adam and Hava were very intelligent, and they had no yetzer hara. So how could they fall with that one commandment?
Well,
if they had no yetzer hara, and they were just given one commandment, how could they?
The yetzer hara was external. I said it in the shiur a few months ago. The yetzer hara was external at that time. Originally, when Adam HaRishon was created, the angels have never seen a human being before. And Adam HaRishon was so big, he reached the sky. He was so beautiful that he was like full of diamonds. And they say that the ankle bone that he had was so shiny, it was more shiny than the sun. Now the angels have never seen such a thing. The angels that Hashem created never saw such a thing, that they thought that he was God in human form. And they were about to bow to him. They said, Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh. They wanted to do Kadosh, 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 and bow to him. And that's when Hashem put him to sleep. Say, it cannot be Hashem. Why? Hashem doesn't sleep. Hashem doesn't sleep. The yetzer hara is also one of those angels. And the yetzer hara saw how beautiful Adam HaRishon was. He got jealous. He says, I have to ruin it. Cannot be that all the other angels are thinking so good, I have to ruin something. I have to do something to ruin it. And that's where he became in a natural way. He came as the serpent, as the snake. But originally the snake, he was given obviously the right to do it. It wasn't a decision among himself. There's no separate power from Hashem. Hashem instilled the power into him and he became as the serpent. But originally the serpent was supposed to be the king of all the animals. He was the most beautiful. He was the most powerful. He was able to speak. He had arms and legs. He wasn't like the snake that you see today. The snake that you see today is very, very different than the serpent. It's a very, very beautiful animal. And he wanted to ruin this relationship between Adam and Chava, Adam and Eve, because of his original jealousy of Adam. So the issue here is that it all starts, the world's disaster starts with jealousy, and the world's disasters continue with jealousy. And that's why the sages say, someone that has jealousy in their heart and dies that way cannot be resurrected with the dead. Why? They haven't fixed that tikkun. They haven't fixed that tikkun. Next question, yeah.
This week it's Pesach, it's around the corner.
Ken.
And we have to emulate, or should I say, relive what our ancestors leave, years, ago.
Yeah.
So, and we know well, that's how we remember. So we are commanded to remember that we left Egypt. So
Okay.
since we have to do this, and they got the land, they ate it, and the command was they're not supposed to leave it overnight. So they have until midnight to eat.
Right.
So, and given that now we're not in Israel, and it's like 2 days.
Right.
So if that was the case. How would that work?
Okay, so first off, I mentioned this in a shiur in New York, in Brooklyn. The issue of the zoa. Zoa is the lamb shank. There's a minhag specifically with the Sephardi world to eat a lamb shank. on the eve of Pesach. Unfortunately, this is a wrong minhag. According to Rabbi Vadia, this is 100% asur. You're not allowed to eat a lamb shank on the eve of Pesach at the Seder. You're allowed to have it on the table as a memory of the Korban. But since we're not allowed to have a Korban, because we don't have a Bet HaMikdash, not allowed to have a Korban, we're not allowed to eat of the lamb shank like we did at the time of the Exodus. We're only allowed to eat it when it's no longer that time, which would begin the next day. So you could have this lamb shank on the table, no problem, but you're only allowed to eat it the next day. Eat something else on the Seder. Eat something else on the Seder. But unfortunately, a lot of people make this mistake. I know that myself, we made this mistake most of my life. That we would have one of the favorites of the Seder would be to have the lamb shank on the Seder table, but this is a wrong minhag. That's actually asur. It's not allowed. But without Torah, you're never going to know this. You can have lamb shank on people's tables and they'll eat it, especially Sephardic people. But this is not allowed because you're not allowed to eat the korban because we don't have Bet HaMikdash. So therefore, you can have a memory of it, something that symbolizes it, but to make sure that you're not thinking this is the korban, because anyone that's eating the lamb shank is thinking they're fulfilling a mitzvah of the korban. But you're not allowed to fulfill the mitzvah of korban because we're not allowed to do korbanot. Which means you're allowed to have a memory of it, but don't actually fulfill the actual mitzvah of eating it because it's not allowed. So you can have it if you want. You don't have to. Next day, eat it, enjoy it, put it on the barbecue if you want, or heat it up, whatever it is that you want to do. The point is that it's very, very important to know that some of these minhagim, some of these customs, you have to double check them. You can't just assume that every minhag is right. Some people think that a minhag is more important than halacha. This couldn't be further from the truth. But unfortunately, in today's world, we live in a world that's ignorant, and people think that minhag is more important than what it really is. It's important, but it's not more important than halacha. But that's also why it's got to such a point where people think that if Shabbat was a minhag, people would keep it. If Shabbat was a minhag, people would keep it. The point is, Rabotai, is that the most important part of Pesach, is to clean out the chametz, both the inner chametz and the outer chametz. That's something you can do the whole year. But the key is to understand why. Problems we're going to have. We're always going to have problems. Always going to be machloket, debate, so on and so forth. This one thinks white, this one thinks black, and so on and so forth. But the Torah is supposed to tell you why. If you're having that machloket, that debate for the sake of Torah, it's a good machloket. If you're having that machloket for your own ego, it's not a good one. Yeah.
Is it you're allowed to go according to pattern of things that, so to speak, go wrong around certain times of the year, given Hagim or perhaps some other season,
Right.
related or unrelated to the Jewish holidays?
Right.
Is it you're allowed to go according to that?
I don't understand.
Let's say someone.
What? There's a sign. There's certain times of the year there's bad things happen, and you're
Yeah.
supposed to, in essence, expect bad things to happen.
Not necessarily expecting. Well, yeah, that's a part of it, expecting it, but associating that time of the year with something is going to go wrong.
Oh, okay. I got you. So some people like to pinpoint a specific time of the year. That's why bad things happen. Like, for example, before Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah, a lot of bad things happen, and people say, "Oh, this is kaparat avonot before the end of the year. Hashem is cleaning you up before Yom Adin." So yeah, this is a nice minhag that people like to think, but in reality, Rabotai, you shouldn't depend on these things. You shouldn't focus on these things, and really, what we should be doing is just doing tshuva every day, and to such a point that we get so close to Hashem that we realize that everything that happens in our life is for our own benefit. That's what Emunah is all about. The darkness is Hashem. The light is Hashem. There's nothing else. Only thing that exists is Hashem. Our tshuva doesn't mean just keep Shabbat and be nice to your wife. Our tshuva means fixing our midot, our desires, our flaws, our weaknesses, fixing all of those things. And no human on earth has enough emunah. No human on earth has enough yirat shamayim. No human on earth has enough limud Torah. No human on earth. even if you go to the Gdolei Ador, you ask Rav Kanievsky right now, what do you want in the world? What's the one thing you want as a present from Hashem that's mamash you want help for in this year? He says, just a little bit of Torah. What a little bit of Torah? You study 22 hours a day. Yeah, I need a little Torah. I need just a little bit more Torah. You don't understand enough? No, Papi don't understand enough. Papi don't understand. So, pinpointing specific times is not healthy because it's a you in essence give something else power. You give the time power. You blame something else other than ourselves. We blame the time. We blame the fortune. We blame the people. We blame the Arabs. We blame the Christians. We blame the Jews. We blame the job. We blame Wall Street. We blame everything else, and that's a form of idolatry. So when you blame specific times, it's borderline idolatry. It's like mamash, the line between Gan Eden and Gehenom is very, very thin. So it's better off not to blame anything other than the person we see in the mirror and do tshuva. Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to ask.
Oh, okay. Next question. Beseder Rabotai, it's now 11:30. I think that we've did a good shiur. Baruch Hashem, Ashrechem, Ashrech Elkechem. Make sure to tune in for the shiurim that we're having over these next couple of weeks. Make sure that on the next couple of days you learn a lot about the Exodus. Go to I have at least a half a dozen lectures. At least a half a dozen lectures on the internet. You go to www.bezratashem.org. Or you go to my YouTube channel, or you go to my Facebook page. But there's plenty of material that I have, Baruch Hashem. Each lecture is different about the Exodus, different miracles of the Exodus, different lessons from the Exodus. Learn all of them over these next few days because you have to know enough that by the time the Seder comes, you know enough to say until you fall asleep. No baseball, no football, no Bitcoin, no Schmidtcoin, no Pokemon, no nothing. Only the Exodus, only Yetziat Mitzrayim. That's what you're supposed to do. That's the halachas. The number one mitzvah of Leila Seder is to talk about the Exodus. All of the midrashim, all of the things that happen, all of the lessons we learn from it. Endless Torah. It's pretty much an all-nighter shiur Torah about the Exodus until you fall asleep. So that's the number one thing. Learn a lot. There's a lot of material Baruch Hashem online. Anyone that wants to learn a lot is on bezratashem.org. On Hebrew and English and so on. Second thing is, remember, whenever there's Kedusha, there's also Tumah. Whenever there's purity, there's also impurity. So at times like Shabbat, times like holidays, Satan loves to show up. It's prime time for fights. It's prime time for machloket. It's prime time for disagreements. If you learn anything from me over the last few years, be quiet. Don't fight with anyone, including yourself. Be quiet. If somebody wants to fight with you, good for them. A fight only begins when there's two people. If they yell, scream, and whatever they're doing, and you don't respond, it's not a fight. They just look crazy. They just look crazy. Don't fight. Why? Because that is going to dictate how the rest of your year is going to look like. Your fights on Divrei Kodesh, you'll have fights for the rest of the year. So you have to make sure you don't like what your wife is wearing, you don't like what your husband looks like, you don't like that you have kids, you don't like this, you don't like how much money you have, you don't like the food, you don't like the way he reads, you don't like he doesn't know how to read, you don't like anything, you're depressed, you're this, whatever. Keep it to yourself. Say what happened in Mitzrayim, say who Moshe Rabbeinu was, say how good the food is, even if it's disgusting. Say how great your wife is, even if she's not so great. Say how wonderful the husband is, even though he's a bum. Say all the compliments that are real and not real. I'm serious. Why? If you don't, you're going to fight. Satan is waiting for you to fight. He's waiting for you to fight. He wants you to fight. Why? That's how he ruins the rest of your life. You open one door for him, he takes over the rest of your life. Rabotai, this is as emet as it gets. You have to be careful. It's very easy to fight. Very, very easy to fight. And honestly, the only solution that works for me is to be quiet. Because talking it out doesn't work initially. Why? You're angry, you're upset, you're this, you're heated, you're this, you're that. Even if they're fighting, don't jump in. Even if they ask you, what's your opinion? I got to go to the bathroom. How long? I'll be back in 3 hours. Go to the bathroom for 3 hours. Go outside. Go do something. Run away. Run away from machloket during the Chagim, especially during Shabbat. This is both Shabbat and holiday. Double whammy. Okay? Both Chagim. You have the first 2 days and the last 2 days. During Chol HaMoed, you're not allowed to work. You're not allowed to work during Chol HaMoed unless you're going to lose. Not making is not losing. Like if you don't get paid, that's not considered losing. Losing means that you'll get fired. That's what losing means. Losing means that the value of whatever you have is going to go down because of it. But not making is not losing. So Chol HaMoed is not for work. Chol HaMoed is for Torah. Chol HaMoed is for the family. Chol HaMoed is for a break. Chol HaMoed is just one level below Shabbat. And the Gemara in Masechet Moed Katan says a person that does not honor Chol HaMoed, they call it Moed Katan, has no share in the world to come. Has no Olam Haba. Okay, so it's not like a small thing. It's a big thing. Even though people think it's like a regular day. It's not a regular day. It's time to learn Torah. It's time to be with the family. Times to hang out with the kids, wife, husband, so on. Enjoy your life. B'ezras Hashem, there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to do. Enjoy Judaism. Don't make it like it's a sack on your back weighing 1,000 pounds. Because if it's 1,000 pounds, it's not Torah. It's some other religion. Torah is supposed to be light. It's diamonds. It's beautiful. Honor it, cherish it. And B'ezras Hashem, we all do tshuva and get to this Gan Eden that we hear a lot about. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.